Beginning with a gentle golden wind and light rain, the master of ceremonies, with a single stroke, surprises the world. This video is purely for entertainment, and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting, and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326, Qiangsha Alliance, Shen Giyu, and the Third Prince's recruitment. Time passed quickly. The news that Mirren King Chen was killed in the capital spread throughout the Great Zhao dynasty. For a time, it caused 1,000 waves. Since the establishment of the Great Zhao dynasty, this is the first time that the children of the Zhao Emperor have been assassinated in the capital. The capital is the place where the power of the Great Zhao dynasty is most concentrated. Killing someone in the capital, and killing the daughter of the Zhao Emperor of the Great Zhao dynasty, is a complete provocation to the authority of the Great Zhao dynasty. For a time, many people were paying attention to the dynamics of the capital. But the capital seemed to be very calm, without a trace of movement, which made people feel incredible. But even so, for several days, the capital was as calm as ever. In the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower, Nalan Rangan was standing in front of Bei Chaofi. In his hands were secret letters from the capital. Owner, the capital is too quiet, but I got some information. There is a poem mentioned in it. Who remembers the one who never returns after all the singing and dancing in life? I found a clue, based on this poem. The person mentioned in it should be Huangquan Bugiran. Huangquan Bugiran is a force formed by the 12 top assassins in the world during the Great Chu period. This force has no missions they dare not take. After taking action, they will definitely wipe out the whole family and leave no one alive. Their methods are cruel. The assassins include people from the rivers and lakes and people from the Great Chu court. It can be said that their appearance caused a shock to the Great Chu dynasty. It made the originally declining Great Chu dynasty become turbulent and finally fell apart. Nalan Rangan said, "Is this foreshadowing something?" Hearing this, Bei Chaofi frowned slightly. It is not known whether such information was sent out at this time intentionally or unintentionally. What's the news about Mei Zuanshan? Bei Chaofi said. How Mirren King Chen died, and at whose hands? Mei Zuanshan may know. Mei Zuanshan has come out of the prison. The fourth prince personally went to the prison to take Mei Zuanshan away. Now Mei Zuanshan is in the fourth prince's residence. Should we contact Mei Zuanshan? Nalan Rangan asked. Bei Chaofi shook his head and said, the situation in the capital is changing. We can't get involved for the time being. Although there are two masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower, they are not proud of it. In this world, it is rumored that warriors are stuck in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Entering the heavenly man increases the lifespan. Normally, a warrior of the first difficulty of heaven and man can live for 100 years. Entering the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, he can live for 200 years. 200 years, what a concept. So from the accumulation point of view, there are definitely many masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in the world. After all, everyone is stuck here. The more stuck, the less likely they are to die, so there must be a lot of people in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Of course, in order to maintain their own lifespan, some warriors of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man choose to retreat to reduce the consumption of their body functions, and thus increase their lifespan. I understand. Nalan Rangan nodded, and then said, however, during this period, the Qiangsha League began to move. The third deputy leader of the Qiangsha League, Shen Giyu, who was as immovable as a mountain, came to Longbei County, and began to occupy the forces previously gathered by the 7th prince. In terms of momentum, it has completely suppressed the Xiangquan sect, the Dao League, etc. The third deputy leader, Shen Giyu, whose power is stronger than the second deputy leader Leng Xianqi, came to Longbei County. Bei Chaofi said. Yes. Nalan Rangan nodded. What is the reaction of the Xiangquan sect and the Dao League? Now the Xiangquan sect and the Dao League in the 9 northern counties can be said to be the 2 most powerful sects in the 9 northern counties. They certainly don't want the Qiangsha League to become stronger. At first there was some movement, but there were rumors that the third leader of the Qiangsha League, Shen Giyu, might have the strength to enter the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, so he stopped moving. Nalan Rangan said. Sometimes, just because they don't move, doesn't mean that others won't move. Pay close attention to the dynamics of the Xiangxia League. I think we should run into them soon. Bei Chaofei said. The disciple of the leader of the Xiangxia League was killed, and the Xiangxia League's power expanded. It is estimated that they may be the first to attack them, so Bei Chaofei asked Nalan Rangan to pay close attention. At this time, a figure flew in from the window. It was a short boy, the 5 poison boy who followed Su Chen. Master Bei, this is a set of fingertip skills that the young pavilion master asked me to bring you. While the 5 poison boy was speaking, he took out a secret book from his arms and handed it to Bei Chaofei. Does the master have any other instructions? Bei Chaofei said. I have to go somewhere else, so I won't stay here. After saying that, the 5 poison boy flew out of the window and didn't stay here. With the help of the pills given by Su Chen a few days ago, he took one and successfully entered the first difficulty of heaven and man, so he wanted to bring the remaining one to Li Xiangxing. Help Li Xiangxing enter the realm of heaven and man. Bei Chaofei looked at the fingertip skills in his hand and couldn't help but open it. On the first page, there were 2 lines of handwriting. A snap of the fingers can send thunder and lightning, and a strike to the Yellow Springs Road. A strike like thunder and a strike to the Yellow Springs Road means a strike of thunder and lightning, sending you to the Yellow Springs Road. Bei Chaofei's mind was shaken, and he began to look through the finger snapping thunder tactics, and his mind was completely absorbed in it. Bei Chaofei's strongest point was the finger technique. So when he saw the brilliant finger technique, he immediately indulged in it. Seeing this, Nalan Rangan couldn't help shaking her head, turned around and stepped out of the room, and told the people outside not to disturb Bei Chaofei for the time being. But her idea was good, but the reality was not like that. When she went downstairs, Helion Xiaoyao, who was about to leave, appeared in front of her. Commander Helion, you are not leaving Lingnan County. Why haven't you left yet? Nalan Rangan said. I have been in Lingnan County, just outside. This time I came here to discuss something important with Brother Bei. Helion Xiaoyao said immediately. Hearing what Helion Xiaoyao said, Nalan Rangan frowned and looked upstairs. Let Commander Helion come here. A voice came from Bei Chaofei's room. Helion Xiaoyao hurried upstairs. Bei Chaofei put the secret book into the drawer, looked at Helion Xiaoyao who pushed the door open, and couldn't help but say, you are so anxious, is there something wrong? Bei Chaofei said, I got the news that someone in the capital wants to use the Qinglang Society as the continuation of the Huangquan Bugiran, and added to the list of the Great Zhao dynasty that must be destroyed. Helion Xiaoyao said. Hearing Helion Xiaoyao's words, Bei Chaofei frowned slightly, but then looked at Helion Xiaoyao with curiosity. Did you come to me just to talk about this matter? This matter seems to have nothing to do with my Jinfeng Xiao Tower. I can't hide it from Brother Bei. I want to ask Brother Bei to meet with Su Chen, the head of Shanman. The person behind me wants to cooperate with the Qinglang Society. Helion Xiaoyao said. The person behind you? The third prince? Bei Chaofei said. Brother Bei, you don't need to tell me if you know it. I wonder if Brother Bei can help me with this. Shouldn't you go directly to see Su Chen? Bei Chaofei was puzzled. I went to visit Su Chen, but was told that Su Chen was stabbed and was recuperating and couldn't see anyone, so I came to you. Helion Xiaoyao said helplessly. Chapter 327 Bei Chaofei's Ambition, Palace of Bliss, Autumn Butterfly. Master Su is injured? Hearing this, Bei Chaofei showed a look of surprise on his face. Of course, he knew in his heart that Su Chen pretended to be injured. Haven't you contacted Su Chen recently? Seeing Bei Chaofei's surprised look, Helion Xiaoyao asked in surprise. There are not many things in Shanman. If there is something, it is also contacted by Elder Yuan Suan of Shanman. Bei Chaofei said. Yuan Suan? I forgot about this person. Helion Xiaoyao couldn't help but slap his forehead when he heard Bei Chaofei mention Yuan Suan. He paid too much attention to Su Chen and forgot about this second in command of Shanman. Su Chen is a disciple of Dingpeng, the 6 dragons of the Qinglang Society, so Yuan Suan should also be a member of the Qinglang Society. He is the person sent by the Qinglang Society to protect Su Chen in Shanmen. Brother Hellion, you came at the right time. I have something to ask you. Bei Chaofei said. Brother Bei, if you have anything to ask, just ask directly. Hellion Zioyao said. What do you think about the situation in the capital, Brother Hellion? Although Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower has explored some information about the capital, it is definitely not as good as Hellion Zioyao's. The capital has changed a lot, which is why I didn't return to the capital. The one who took action should be Huan Quanbu Giram. Brother Bei must know the details of this organization, so I won't say much. Anyway, it's better not to go into the capital's affairs, but the loser this time has been determined to be the fourth prince. The fourth prince will have a difficult time in the next period of time. Hellion Zioyao said. Although he didn't say much, he also said something. The game in the middle should be aimed at the fourth prince. We, Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower, want to enter the capital? I don't know if Brother Hellion has any suggestions. Bei Chaofei said. Golden Wind and Rainy Tower enters the capital at this time. Hearing Bei Chaofei's words, Hellion Zioyao subconsciously wanted to express his disagreement, but after thinking for a moment, he said, perhaps this is an opportunity for Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower to enter the capital. The situation in the capital is changing rapidly, and entering the capital at this time may not be a good idea, but I'm afraid we need a master to take charge. When Hellion Zioyao spoke, he emphasized the word master. What he meant was that it was not an ordinary master. The North Pavilion master of Xian'ai Pavilion of my lineage will go to the capital in person. Bei Chaofei said. Xian'ai Pavilion, North Pavilion master? Hellion Zioyao was shocked when he heard Bei Chaofei's words. The title of Xian'ai Pavilion, North Pavilion master had previously appeared in the mouth of Qinglang Club, Demon Knife Dingpeng. Everyone already knew the strength of Demon Knife Dingpeng, so the strength of the North Pavilion master of Xian'ai Pavilion must be extraordinary to make Dingpeng owe him a favor. I didn't expect that the North Pavilion master of your pavilion would come in person. In that case, there shouldn't be much of a problem. Hellion Zioyao said. The only force that the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower could confront in the capital was the seventh prince. Thank you, Brother Hellion. Bei Chaofei thanked. I won't stay here. I'm going to meet Yuan Suan of Shanmen. Hellion Zioyao said, clasping his fists and leaving, heading to Shanmen. Lord, once the Jinfeng Xiailao in the capital appears, the Jinfeng Xiailao in the 9 northern counties will probably be weakened. Nalan Rangan said worriedly. The capital needs the Jinfeng Xiailao. But in her opinion, the owner of the Jinfeng Xiailao in the capital should be Bei Chaofei. My strength is a little weak, but the skills sent by the young pavilion master, the Thunder Finger art, can increase my combat power by several levels. Bei Chaofei said. He has ambitions, but his strength is too weak. He wants to go to the capital and become the owner of the Jinfeng Xiailao in the capital. His current strength is completely unable to do it. According to his analysis, if he wants to develop in the capital, his strength must at least reach the 6 difficulties of heaven and man. Lord, in fact, there is a way to improve your strength. Nalan Rangan said. Hearing this, Bei Chaofei couldn't help but look at Nalan Rangan. Subordinates, I have recently received news that someone from the Paradise Palace who had disappeared from the martial arts world for decades has appeared in Mengcheng in the northwest region. According to my secret investigation, the person who appeared is Qiukd, one of the 4 great ladies of the Paradise Palace. She is practicing one of the 4 sacred methods of the Paradise Palace, breaking out of the cocoon and becoming a butterfly and the Paradise reincarnation. According to my investigation, Qiukd is devouring the essence and blood of boys and girls to make her break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly. Once it is fully developed, her strength will surely increase dramatically. As long as the owner absorbs the power of this girl, he will surely be able to advance to a high level. Nalan Rangan said. Hearing Nalan Rangan's words, Bei Chaofei was stunned. You mean someone from the Paradise Palace has appeared? The Paradise Palace was not an ordinary force back then. How could it appear at this time? Bei Chaofei said. Lord, you seem to be concerned about the wrong thing. You should be concerned about Qiukd. Nalan Rangan said. How strong is Qiukd? Bei Chaofei said. Bei Chaofu's desire to fly will never die. In his previous life, he killed his brother and usurped the throne, which once disrupted the martial arts world of the capital. He was eventually eradicated by multiple forces headed by Wang Xiaoxi and Su Mengzhen. Now he still has his own ambitions. Su Chen will definitely leave the 9 northern counties and enter the capital in the end. He hopes that he can always be with Su Chen. Only by being with Su Chen can he mean that his life will not end like this. Bei Chaofu never hides his ambitions. It's just that his strength can't keep up with Su Chen's pace. If he wants to match this ambition, he must increase his strength. Nalan Rangan knows Bei Chaofu's talent and ambition. She has been looking for something that can help Bei Chaofu improve his strength. She accidentally discovered the appearance of the person from Paradise Palace and has been paying attention to him secretly. Her strength should be at the first level of heaven and man. It is estimated that after a while, she will reach the second level of heaven and man. If the host wants to take down the other party, I'm afraid he needs to ask Mr. Guan for help. Nalan Rangan said. Guan Qi may not help me with this matter. Bei Chaofu shook his head. Guan Qi and Bei Chaofu actually have some grievances. If Su Chen hadn't arranged Guan Qi here, I'm afraid Guan Qi wouldn't be here. And Guan Qi is now constantly practicing his innate invisible sword energy to improve his strength. Guan Qi is also a person who is unwilling to lag behind. In the novel, speaking of heroes, who is the hero? When Guan Qi was besieged for the first time, the first person to attack was Bei Chaofu, and the reason for his attack was very simple. Because he looked at Guan Qi and then felt a strong sense of emptiness. At that moment, Bei Chaofu, who always looks high and mighty, actually had a feeling of wanting to die, so he thought he had to kill people to relieve this feeling, and to stop his own death by the death of others. After the attack, he couldn't stop at all until he was repelled after 37 moves. It can be said that the hatred between the two of them is still quite big. Of course, these can't be told to Nalan Rangan. Hearing Bei Chaofu's words, Nalan Rangan pondered for a moment and said, does the host have anyone to invite? The strength is at least in the 5 difficulties of heaven and man. Bei Chaofu pondered, the people created by the master, those with strong strength are ambitious. Without ambition, the strength is about the same as his. I haven't found a suitable one yet. Chapter 328. Mei Zuanshang secretly leaves the capital. Guan Qi and Du Guzai and Weng personally go to the frontier capital. The mansion of the 4th prince, mottled sunlight, shining on the courtyard wall. Compared with the previous prosperity, the mansion of the 4th prince seems a little lonely these days. In a wing room, Mei Zuanshang was sitting cross-legged on the bed, circulating the qi in his body, trying to regulate the injuries in his body. Puff, but before the qi could circulate for a week, a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Yi Wengsu, I will definitely avenge this hatred. I must kill you. Mei Zuanshang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. He wanted to continue practicing. Damn. At this time, there was a knock on the door of the wing room, and Mei Zuanshang slowly stood up and walked to the door. Open the door. Outside the door stood a man in a brocade robe, who was not handsome, but very attractive. There was a trace of sadness in the man's eyes, and there was also a kind of determination in the sadness. Hello, your highness. Mei Zuanshang hurriedly saluted. The man immediately helped her up. Zuanshuang, we grew up together. There is no need to greet each other when we meet. This person is Liu Long, the 4th prince of the great Zhao dynasty, Mirren Qingchen's biological brother from the same mother. Your highness, how is the investigation of Qingchen's case going? Was it done by the Bugi people? Mei Zuanshang said this with hatred in her eyes. Sometimes, she and Mirren Qingchen don't get along, but they are very good friends. Although the group of people claimed to be Bugi people last time, who knows whether they are? I'm still investigating this matter. I came here this time to send you away from the capital. You are in danger in the capital. The 4th Prince Liu Long said. They have broken several meridians in my body. Do they want to kill me? Mei Zuanshang said coldly. They just want to kill you. Otherwise, Yi Wengsu would not have to destroy several of your meridians. The 4th Prince Liu Long said. Don't they fear my mother? Mei Zuanshang said in a deep voice. Maybe they just want to kill you to see if they can lead Aunt Feng out. If they kill you and Aunt Feng doesn't show up, they will occupy Chang'an Palace. If Aunt Feng shows up, they will pin the blame for your murder on Huangquan Bugiran. The fourth Prince Liu Long said in a deep voice. Originally, you lived with me, and there was no problem, but the Grand Tutor arranged for me to go to the General Hall of the Zenfu Division to assist in investigating Huangquan Bugiran. Once I leave the palace, I'm afraid they will attack you, but if you follow me into the General Hall of the Zenfu Division, there will also be risks, so I want to send you to Sunyuan Palace. The fourth Prince Liu Long said. At this point, Liu Long's eyes were filled with reluctance. He didn't expect that he would be forced to this point and cause Mirren King Chen to be killed. Sunyuan Palace is one of the forces supporting the fourth prince in the capital, and there are many strong people. Now Mei Zuanshang, who is recovering from her injuries, is most suitable to be in Sunyuan Palace. Grand Tutor, why would he attack? Mei Zuanshang was a little confused. Su Chen killed the people in the Grand Tutor's mansion when he destroyed the Sifeng Society. The Grand Tutor is taking this opportunity to suppress me, the fourth Prince Liu Long said in a deep voice. Su Chen. When he heard Su Chen's name, Mei Zuanshang's eyes suddenly lit up. Your Highness, although my injury is very serious, as long as I don't circulate my ki, I can walk without any problem. Tomorrow, have someone disguise me and send me to Sunyuan Palace. I will secretly go to Lingnan County to meet Su Chen and recuperate at Shangate. Mei Zuanshang said. Recuperate at Su Chen's place. The fourth Prince Liu Long heard Mei Zuanshang's words. After thinking for a moment, he nodded and said, it's good to go to his place. He should be protected by masters of the Qinglang Society. If you go, your safety should be no problem. You recover here, I will make arrangements to send you away tomorrow. The fourth Prince Liu Long said. Thank you, fourth prince. Mei Zuanshang thanked him. Liu Long shook his head and turned to leave. After closing the door, Mei Zuanshang did not circulate the ki in his body again. If she continued to circulate, her remaining meridians might break. Swallow a blood and ki pill to restore her strength. Yi Wengsu, this time I go to Lingnan County, I will definitely ask the people from the Qinglang Society to kill you. The reason why Mei Zuanshang did not go to Sunyuan Palace was because she wanted revenge. In this situation, the people from the fourth prince's side could not help her. There is also the Chang'an Palace. She was taken to the prison in the capital, and no one came forward to take her out. It can be seen that there is a problem in Chang'an Palace. Now she can be said to be homeless. So she plans to return to Lingnan County and ask Su Chen for help, or to ask the Qinglang Society for help. The next day, a carriage came out of the fourth prince's mansion and slowly headed towards the direction of Sunyuan Palace outside the city. The journey was very calm and there were no waves. The fourth prince personally sent her off, and many people did not dare to do anything. Of course, the woman in the carriage was fake. The real Mei Zuanshang had disguised herself and left the secret room in the fourth prince's mansion. She left the capital from another city gate and headed towards Lingnan County. Outside the Great Wall, inside the Wudi Gate, Dugu Wudi and Lei Xingchuan were sitting in a pavilion, drinking and talking. I have already found Bi Qingshan's whereabouts. Brother Debu, when should we make a move? While Lei Xingchuan was speaking, he handed a copy of Bi Qingshan's information to Dugu Wudi. Dugu Wudi carefully looked at Bi Qingshan's information, frowned, put the information aside, and said, according to the time calculation, Bi Qingshan will arrive at the area of the Red Sandalwood Palace tomorrow. We should make a move. Yes. Lei Xingchuan nodded and said, I don't know when the masters here will arrive. Brother Debu. What did Dugu Wudi want to say? But at this time, the burly Kun Wu came over from outside. He quickly came to Dugu Wudi's ear and whispered something. Hearing Kun Wu's words, Dugu Wudi's face showed joy. Brother Lei, the people I invited are here. I will go to greet them. Dugu Wudi stood up. Then I'll go with Brother Debu. Lei Xingchuan also wanted to see who Dugu Wudi had invited. At this time, in a courtyard of Wudiman, there were two figures standing. Although one of them was not as burly as Kun Wu, he exuded a terrifying aura. The person who came was Guan Qi from the Golden Wind and Rain Tower in Lingnan County. Next to him was an old man with white hair and a childlike face. He was Wandu Zanweng, one of the 4 guardians of Dugu Wuda's previous life. Seeing Wandu Zanweng, Dugu Wudi couldn't help but show excitement on his face. It was such a lucky thing to be able to meet someone from the previous life. Brother Debu. Greetings, Master. Guanqi and Wandu Zanweng spoke at the same time, one calling Dugu brother and the other calling master. I didn't expect that senior Guanqi would come in person, so our plan this time should be foolproof. Brother Debu, I will go back to prepare now and meet there early tomorrow morning. Lei Xingchuan said. Okay. Dugu Wudi nodded. Brother Guanqi, immortal, let's go to the backyard and have a drink. Dugu Wudi led the two to the backyard. After getting Su Chen's permission, Dugu Wudi felt that his strength was somewhat limited, so he sent a pigeon to contact Guanqi, who was constantly improving his strength. Guanqi was strong and had the golden plum bottle. Even if there were masters from the Xianshan sect, they could still take down Bikingshan. Chapter 329, Blood Dragon, Blood Purification. Shan Gate. In a secret room, Su Chen was practicing cross-legged. He won a batch of Qi and blood pills in the lottery a few days ago. With the Qi and blood pills collected by Shan Gate before, he had enough Qi and blood pills. He was going to improve his blood and Qi strength. Qi and blood are the foundation of cultivation. Qi is sharp, but after a certain amount of Qi and blood burst out, it is also extremely powerful. Su Chen's physical body is very strong. If the Qi and blood are strengthened, then his combat power will also increase. Suddenly, the Qi and blood in his body kept running fast, making him full of blood-colored fog. The sound of a dragon roaring came from Su Chen's body. The blood-colored fog that originally filled his body began to gather quickly and finally formed a dragon figure floating around Su Chen. Ha ha. At this time, Su Chen's breathing was consistent with the breathing of the suspended blood-colored dragon. Every time he breathed, a blood Qi flowed out of the dragon's body, and it circulated with the blood Qi in Su Chen's body. Every time it circulated, the total amount of Qi and blood in his body increased by 1 point. This is a method of cultivating Qi and blood that Su Chen learned from the blood-sucking dragon diagram. It can help increase the Qi and blood in the body. Of course, this kind of practice consumes too many Qi and blood pills. For the blood and Qi to transform into the initial form of a dragon, a large number of Qi and blood pills are needed. It is impossible for ordinary warriors to do this. The Qi and blood are not only increasing, but the blood in the body has also changed vaguely. When Su Chen was circulating the Qi and blood, he vaguely felt that his blood was changing. Could it be that the blood in the body becomes like the blood of a dragon? A flash of surprise flashed in Su Chen's eyes. Human blood involves blood vessels. When the blood vessels evolve, their own strength will increase exponentially. If Su Chen can improve his blood vessels by operating the method he got from the blood-sucking dragon diagram, then the blood-sucking dragon diagram is a rare treasure. Put aside these thoughts. Qi and blood pills continued to appear in a Su Chen's hand. With a big gulp, several pills were sucked into Su Chen's stomach and began to be refined. Time passed little by little, and Su Chen's strength was constantly increasing. On the other side, Shanman, inside Yuan Suan's residence. Helian Zioyao saw Yuan Suan. He came to visit Yuan Suan the day before yesterday, and Yuan Suan was practicing. The disciples of Shanman told him that he came today. I don't know why you came to see me, Commander Helian. Yuan Suan asked Helian Zioyao to sit down. When Helian Zioyao saw Yuan Suan, he was a little surprised. Yuan Suan looked about the same age as them, but his strength has reached the 4th level of heaven and man. Elder Yuan, I'm here on behalf of the 3rd prince this time. The 3rd prince wants to cooperate with the Qinglang Society. Helian Zioyao said. There is no need to beat around the bush and directly state your purpose. The 3rd prince wants to cooperate with the Qinglang Society. I may not be able to help you with anything. Yuan Suan shook his head. He did not belong to the Qinglang Society under Su Chen, so he could not help. Of course, he also knew that Helian Zioyao wanted to ask Su Chen for help. Elder Yuan, I wonder if Master Su can help with this matter? Helian Zioyao said softly. Hearing this, Yuan Suan frowned slightly and said, the master's master is injured and has been in seclusion to heal his wounds. With the status of the master alone, He cannot lead this matter. Such cooperation probably requires the consent of 3 to 4 dragon heads, or the consent of the great dragon head himself. Yuan Suan said in a deep voice. Is that so? Elder Yuan, I wonder if I can meet Master Su. I want to talk to Master Su in person. Hellion Zioyao still wanted to meet Su Chen in person. I will report to the master, but the master was stabbed and needs to recuperate for a while. Commander Hellion, I wonder if you know Princess Danayang. This Princess Danayang relies on her status as a princess and does things a little too much. Yuan Suan said. Princess Danayang, was it Princess Danayang who arranged the assassin to deal with Su Chen this time? Hellion Zioyao's thoughts turned quickly. Originally, he thought that Su Chen pretended to be stabbed in order to avoid him. But if it was Princess Danayang who sent someone to attack, then Su Chen might really be injured. Princess Danayang is now in the residence of the 7th prince. With Princess Danayang's character, knowing that the 7th prince was frustrated, she would really arrange someone to deal with Su Chen. Is it the 7th prince who is unwilling, or Ling Cheng who is unwilling? Hellion Zioyao thought to himself. Then he thanked Yuan Suan. Thank you, Elder Yuan, for telling me. I will report this matter to the 3rd prince. Yuan Suan would not mention Princess Danayang unintentionally. This is to tell him that, if the 3rd prince can deal with Princess Danayang, perhaps Su Chen will help the 3rd prince to promote cooperation with the Qinglang society. I hope that Commander Hellion will come again next time and bring good news. Yuan Suan said. Of course, I will leave today and come to bother you again another day. Hellion Zioyao clasped his fists and left. After Hellion Zioyao left, Yuan Suan also stood up and went to the secret room where Su Chen was. When Yuan Suan arrived at the secret room, Su Chen had already finished his practice. My lord, Hellion Zioyao came here, hoping to get the 3rd prince to cooperate with the Qinglang society, through you. Yuan Suan stepped forward and said. At this time, the 3rd prince wants to cooperate with the Qinglang society. What does he want to do? Su Chen frowned slightly. Bei Chaofei hasn't figured it out yet, but I hinted that your assassination was arranged by Princess Danayang. From his appearance, he will probably go back and report to the 3rd prince and help the lord settle this matter. Yuan Suan said. If it weren't for the recent changes in the capital, he would have planned to use Zio Royan to kill Princess Danayang. Not killing Princess Danayang is actually relieving the pressure on the 4th prince. What's the situation in the capital? Su Chen said. News came from the Jinfeng Xiu Tower that Medi Zuanshan was sent to Sanyuan Palace by the 4th prince. The 4th prince was arranged by the Grand Master to enter the general hall of the Zenfu division to supervise the assassination of Mirren Chen. Among them, some of Medi Zuanshan's meridians were destroyed in the Xi'an layer of the capital, and her strength dropped sharply. Yuan Suan knew what Su Chen wanted to know, and replied. After hearing Yuan Suan's words, Su Chen frowned slightly. Medi Zuanshan was a member of Changhan Palace, and also a member of the 4th prince. Some of her meridians were destroyed in the Xi'an layer. This situation was a bit unexpected for him. It seems that the 4th prince seemed to have encountered a big problem in the capital, and the situation was a bit bad. Whose hand had Medi Zuanshan's meridians destroyed? Su Chen had some friendship with Medi Zuanshan, and he really wanted to know who destroyed Medi Zuanshan's meridians. When a warrior practices, the meridians run through the whole body. To destroy the meridians is to cut off the foundation of the warrior in the path of practice. It is more cruel than killing a martial arts practitioner. Chapter 330, Injury in exchange for life, can kill the other party. It was Yi Wengsu, one of the 3 commanders of the capital's heavenly prison, who did it. This Yi Wengsu has some grudge against Medi Zuanshan. When Medi Zuanshan followed her master Ni Beifeng into the capital, Yi Wengsu's 3rd son Yi Wuming flirted with Medi Zuanshan in the street. He was beaten by Medi Zuanshan and fell into the lake. After being rescued, I don't know why the meridians in his body were broken, and he could no longer practice. Hearing Yuan Suan's words, Su Chen couldn't help but shake his head. I didn't expect there would be such grudges, but the 4th prince sent Medi Zuanshan to Sanyuan Palace, and Medi Zuanshan's safety should be no problem. My lord, the Golden Wind and Rain Tower found that Qiukd, one of the new generation of the four great ladies of the Elysian Palace, was absorbing essence and blood in Mengcheng and practicing the skill of breaking through the cocoon and becoming a butterfly. Bei Chaofei invited me to work with Qiukd. Yuan Suan said. Bei Chaofei thought about it for a long time and finally thought of Yuan Suan, so he asked Yuan Suan for help. Qiukd is one of the four great ladies of Paradise Palace. Why would Bei Chaofei want to deal with this girl? Su Chen asked in confusion. Master, the full name of Qiukd's cultivation method is breaking the cocoon and becoming a butterfly and reincarnation in paradise. Others are her cauldron, and she is also the cauldron of others. Brother Bei wants to use this opportunity to absorb Qiukd's power. Yuan Suan said. Is there such a good thing? Su Chen was surprised when he heard this. Yes, Qiukd's whereabouts are well hidden, but she is completely mastered by Nalan Rangan. Nalan Rangan suggested it to Bei Chaofei. Yuan Suan said. This Nalan Rangan can really help Bei Chaofei. It seems that Bei Chaofei wants to enter the capital and become the owner of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital this time. Tell Bei Chaofei that, as long as his strength reaches the 5 difficulties of heaven and man, he will be the owner of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. Su Chen said. Why is Bei Chaofei in a hurry to improve his strength? The position of the owner of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the 9 northern counties is already in his hands. Su Chen doesn't need to think about it. He knows that Bei Chaofei wants to become the owner of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. Bei Chaofei's ambition has never been hidden. Su Chen can give Bei Chaofei this opportunity. I will tell Bei Chaofei here. Yuan Suan said. Compared with Bei Chaofei, Yuan Suan's ambition is smaller. In his previous life, he was blind and had ambitions in his heart, but in the end he jumped into the sea and committed suicide. He has seen through everything. In this life, he practiced and protected Su Chen. How is the situation with Du Guwudi? Su Chen asked afterwards. Guan Qi and Wan Duzan Weng have already arrived at the Wudi gate. Yuan Suan said. Du Guwudi asked Guan Qi to help. The two are quite similar. Both are heroes. Notify me immediately when there is news. Su Chen said. My lord, Lan Chengbi is about to enter the Jiangnan area. He plans to build the Wugi Villa there and wants some support from here. Yuan Suan said. The money of King Lan Club, Shanman, and Jinfeng Xiai Lao will eventually be gathered to Su Chen. It will be temporarily managed by Yuan Suan who is with Su Chen. You should discuss this matter with Lan Chengbi. Su Chen nodded. He can't provide support for personnel now, but he is not short of money, so he can provide support. Yes, I will do it right away. Yuan Suan is ready to leave the secret room. Don't leave in a hurry. The tea you brewed last time was good. Drinking tea and watching the snow in winter is beautiful. Su Chen stood up. After practicing, he also needed to relax. My lord likes it. It's Milner. Yuan Suan followed Su Chen out of the secret room. On the other side, outside the Great Wall, a small town in the yellow sand. In the private room of a tea house, Du Guwudi, Guan Qi, Lei Xingchen, and the second in command of the Ghost Domain, Zhu Xiang, were drinking tea in this private room. At this time, a figure jumped in from the window. His face changed, and it was the Thousand Faces Fox under Du Guwudi. Master, Bekingshan's team will arrive in the town in about 20 minutes. Thousand Faces Fox said. Have you found out the people accompanying them? How strong are they? Du Guwudi said. There are 11 people who followed Bekingshan, among whom is Yu Zhangting, an elder of the Xianshan sect, whose strength is at the 7 difficulties of heaven and man. The strength of the other people has not entered the heaven and man realm. Thousand Faces Fox said. Thousand Faces Fox is called Thousand Faces, and his disguise skills are so high that he has been in disguise for such a long time to enter the convoy and find clues about Bekingshan and his group. 7 difficulties of heaven and man. The second in command of the Ghost Domain frowned slightly. Fight him. I'm sure I can kill him. Guan Qi said at this time. He had a golden plum vase on him. After the recent period of nourishment, the energy consumed last time has been almost restored, so he can continue to use it. He can kill the opponent by exchanging injuries for lives. Hearing Guan Qi's words, Zhu Xiang said, "Then I will help brother Guan Qi." He was surprised in his heart, surprised by Guan Qi's confidence. Go separately and meet outside the town. Du Guwudi put on a bamboo hat and walked out of the private room. Zhu Dangtao, can this Guan Qi really deal with Yu Zongting of Xianshan sect? Lei Xingchuan asked with some doubts. This Guan Qi has a strong energy, which gives me a very dangerous feeling, but whether he can kill Yu Zongting is unknown. After all, we are not familiar with Xianshan sect. Let's go. Zhu Xiang stood up at this time, and the two did not leave from the main gate, but from the window. Far outside the town, there were few pedestrians on a Gobi road. The wind and sand were very strong. A team was moving towards this side. The leader was riding a white horse, in his early 20s, handsome, with a long sword on his back. It was Bikingshan from the Xianshan sect. Next to him was an old man with a white beard, who was sitting on a horse with a long sword hanging on his back. Elder Yu, I don't know what master is thinking, to let me marry Mukingsu from the Red Sand Palace. With the strength of our Xianshan sect, we can directly take down the Red Sand Palace. Why do we need to marry them? Bikingshan, who was carrying a long sword, said. Kingshan, although our Xianshan sect has the strength to take down the Red Sand Palace, we have been closed for 20 years and know little about the current situation outside the Great Wall and the surrounding areas. The Mountain Master asked you to marry the Red Sand Palace, on the one hand, hoping that you can take over the Red Sand Palace, and on the other hand, to reduce the vigilance of these sects outside the Great Wall. But don't underestimate the Red Sand Palace. The Red Sand Palace was not a sect outside the Great Wall before. It was suppressed by the Qinglang Temple and had to live outside the Great Wall. They have always wanted to return to the interior of the country, so they have arranged a lot of personnel inside the Great Wall. If you take charge of the Red Sand Palace, you can control these personnel. In that case, it will be beneficial for our Xianshan sect to enter the heartland of the Great Zhao dynasty. The old man next to him said. From their conversation, it can be heard that the Xianshan sect is thinking about secretly taking down the Red Sand Palace. Suddenly, the old man who spoke changed his face, reined in the horse, and stared at the figures that appeared in front of them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331, The sword rises, the wind and sand stop, and the sword energy is like a cold wave. Bikingshan, who was talking to the old man, was startled and turned his head to look in the direction of the old man's sight. Several people wearing black clothes and cloaks were slowly walking towards them from the wind and sand, and their pupils suddenly shrank. It seems that some people are not happy about our Xianshan sect's appearance. Xianshan sect elder Yu Zongting spoke, with a cold light flashing in his eyes, and his hand grasped the hilt of the sword on the horse's back. He continued to ride the horse towards the black-clothed man. Bikingshan and others followed behind him. After a while, the distance between the two parties was less than 10 meters. A person who hides his head and shows his tail. Xianshan sect elder Yu Zongting shouted, and the energy in his body instantly swept towards the few people like a torrent. At this moment, the surrounding wind and sand seemed to cooperate with Yu Zongting and stopped directly. The huge pressure was like a heavy mountain, pressing heavily on the few people. Under this pressure, several figures couldn't help but tremble a few times, barely stabilizing their bodies. Seeing this, Yu Zongting of the Xianshan school, holding a sword, soared into the air, and the long sword in his hand was unsheathed in an instant, and he slashed out with a sword. Boom. At this moment, a figure took a step forward. There was a loud noise from the bones in his body, and then a huge wave of energy burst out from his body. The energy was like a sword, and the energy tore through the air. He stepped on the ground, clenched his fist, and punched out. The energy in his fist was like a sword. It collided with the long sword that Yu Zongting slashed out. The sword energy was raging, and both figures retreated. Yu Zongting landed on the ground, and his feet did not move. After landing, the man in the cloak took a few steps back to stabilize his body. You are a person of the 6 difficulties of heaven and man, and you are not simple to take my sword. Yu Zhangting looked at the black-robed man who retreated coldly. His strength was at the 7 difficulties of heaven and man, and he was also a major in the sword of killing. The other party took his attack, and his strength was not simple. Kill. At this time, a figure among the several people shouted in a low voice and killed towards Bekingshan. The person who made the move was extremely fast, and a stream of black energy flowed in his palm, which was sharp and overbearing. Bekingshan, who was on the horse, changed his expression, but when he sensed the other party's realm, his eyes condensed, and he instantly raised the long sword in his hand, unsheathed it, and slashed with the sword, and the sword energy came out horizontally, blocking the palm of the person who made the move. Others, please trouble Lei Dangtao. At this time, among the black-robed people who did not make a move, one of them said to the people beside him. The one who spoke was the guardian Wandu Zanweng under Dugu Wudi. It was Guan Qi who made the move to fight Yu Zhangting, and it was Dugu Wudi who fought with Bekingshan. Then the rest of these people must be handed over to the people in the ghost domain. Hearing the words of Wandu Zanweng, Lei Xingchuan's face sank, and his eyes couldn't help but look at the second in command Zhu Xiang beside him. Zhu Xiang nodded. Lei Xingchuan rushed out. His figure was like a ghost, and his outstretched palm was like a ghost claw. Those who followed Bekingshan were all ordinary Xianshan disciples. None of them have reached the unity of spirit and soul. Escape. When Lei Xingchuan attacked, these ordinary disciples of Xianshan sect were ready to flee on horseback, but their mounts screamed, then foamed at the mouth, and fell to the ground. Some people fell off their horses and screamed. At this time, Lei Xingchuan had arrived. In just a few rounds, he killed all the people accompanying him. He quickly retracted his body. Sensing the massacre of Xianshan sect disciples, Yu Zhangting's eyes became gloomy. He looked at Guan Qi. His eyes were full of coldness. Boom. At this time, Guan Qi rushed out, and his body began to collide with the flow of qi. The qi broke out even more unscrupulously. He made fists with both hands, and blasted towards Yu Zhangting. Kill you first, then kill them. The qi flowed in his body, and there was a kind of airflow in the hand holding the long sword. As soon as he stepped on the ground, the whole person appeared in front of Guan Qi. The long sword thrust out, and instantly one long sword turned into dozens of long swords, heading for the key points all over Guan Qi's body. The sword energy was cold, like a cold wave sweeping over the ground, and a raging tide rolling into the sky. Silver light flew, thousands of dots, like a continuous torrent of river water, and for a moment, Guan Qi's innate invisible sword energy was shattered. Yu Zhangting showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. With such strength, he actually dared to fight him. Swish. The long sword was withdrawn, and all the sword energy on his body flowed into the long sword, with the momentum to kill Guan Qi with one sword. Guan Qi focused his mind, and stared at the opponent. This Xianshan school Yu Zhangting was the strongest he had ever fought directly against. The sharp sword energy was comparable to his innate invisible sword energy. Suddenly, Yu Zhangting moved, and in a blink of an eye, he stabbed at Zhu Xiang, the second in command of the ghost domain, who was not far away, and his long sword was like starlight. Zhu Xiang, the second in command of the ghost domain who was watching the battle, changed his face and retreated rapidly. He cursed in his heart, shouldn't you get rid of Guan Qi first, and then deal with me? Why did you attack me instead? Although he retreated, the sense of danger in his heart did not disappear. He couldn't hide. There was no way. Zhu Xiang grabbed his palm and a stream of energy appeared in his palm. He slapped it out, and the energy collided with the long sword. Swish. The long sword directly pierced his energy, and stabbed directly towards his heart. Roar. At this moment, a low roar broke out behind Yu Zhangting. Then a violent sword energy attacked him. It made his sword action pause slightly. The sword energy shifted a little. It just hit Zhu Xiang's shoulder. Zhu Kang retreated violently, looking at Yu Zhangting with a look of fear. If Guan Qi hadn't taken action, he would probably have died under the other party's sword. It's a pity. I thought I could kill you with one sword, but you were hit by my sword. I believe I will find you. Yu Zhangting glanced at Zhu Xiang, and looked at Guan Qi. Fighting. It's not good to talk so much nonsense. Just when he looked at Guan Qi's aura seemed to be gathered together at this moment, and the sword energy flowed in his palms. The sword energy was black, giving people a very suppressed and violent feeling. Are you going to make a desperate bet? Yu Zhangting sneered. His figure flashed, and he went to Guan Qi, slashing the long sword in his hand, and the sword energy was like frost. Boom. The sword energy in Guan Qi's palm formed a vortex, directly transferring the sword energy to another place. This is a way of using the grappling hand. Is it useful? Although Guan Qi transferred the sword away, Yu Zhangting had already appeared in front of Guan Qi. The sword energy turned around, making it impossible to see the root of the sword energy. Swish. The long sword pierced Guan Qi's chest. I originally wanted to pierce the heart, but I didn't expect it to deviate a little. Yu Zhangting was a little surprised. He wanted to pull back the long sword, but at this moment Guan Qi suddenly reached out and grabbed the long sword. Click. The long sword was broken by the energy in his palm. Then he exerted great force and pulled the other party over. He also rushed over, and his ki was as strong as a knife. Bang! The two bodies collided and flew backwards at the same time. Puff! Both of them vomited blood, but Guan Qi's injuries were much more serious than those in Yu Zhangting. Guan Qi had no doubts. The golden plum bottle appeared in his hand. A strange energy quickly flowed into his body and began to recover from his injuries. While recovering from his injuries, he felt that his ki began to grow. On the other side, spitting blood from his mouth, Yu Zhangting had just swallowed a mouthful of pills, but when he saw the golden plum bottle in Guan Qi's hand, he showed surprise on his face. Golden plum bottle. From his voice, it can be seen that the other party knows about the golden plum bottle. Chapter 332. Crazy. I'll kill you too. Sneeuan Palace. Yuan Zhengsu. Go. He growled at Beking Chen at this time. The opponent has the golden plum bottle and is absorbing it so recklessly. As long as he can't solve the opponent in one go, he can't kill him. Maybe he could do it before, but now he is injured and can't do it at all. While speaking, he turned around and wanted to leave. Ghosts crying and gods howling palm. At this moment, Zhu Xiang, who was injured before, suddenly slapped out with his palm, and the palm slapped out gusts of cold wind, and the sound of ghosts crying and gods howling came out from his palm. Swish. Yu Zhangting slashed out with a sword, and the palm wind was split. But after Zhu Xiang slashed out, he retreated quickly to avoid the opponent's sword. You are injured, and the speed of sword drawing has slowed down. Zhu Xiang retreated, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. The speed of the opponent's sword drawing slowed down. Boom. At this time, Guan Qi recovered from his injuries, and his body flew into the air. The great river and North Kigan burst out in his body, forming a shield, and then pressed down on the opponent. The punch was like a mountain, and the mountains collapsed. Yu Zhangting could only resist, but he was hit by Guan Qi because of his carelessness. His internal organs moved, and his internal ki could not flow normally. Under the physical force of Guan Qi, he felt an unprecedented pressure. Boom. Guan Qi clenched his fists and blasted out. Bang. Yu Zhangting stretched out his palms and collided with Guan Qi's fists. He was shocked and retreated. A mouthful of blood spurted out again. Blood flowed on Guan Qi's fists and the meridians in his arms burst. But a stream of ki flowed through his body, and the burst arm quickly recovered. Aren't you afraid of being possessed by a demon? Seeing Guan Qi do this, Yu Zhangting roared. He had never seen anyone who used the golden plum bottle so unscrupulously. Just kill you. A low voice came from Guan Qi's mouth, and Guan Qi rushed out again, fighting completely with force. Yu Zhangting immediately fell into a difficult battle. Zhu Xiang, the second in command watching the battle, looked at Guan Qi who was like a madman, and his eyes were full of fear. Don't offend Guan Qi from Jinfeng Xiu Tower, he's really crazy. Zhu Xiang decided that Guan Qi was someone who should not be offended. Boom. Under Guan Qi's strong attack, Yu Zhangting was hit in the chest. Crack, the sound of broken bones came out, and Yu Zhangting screamed. On the other side, Du Guwudi was suppressed by Beking Chen, and when he heard Yu Zhangting scream, he was in a trance. This is youth. Although the realm of cultivation is good, the actual combat is still far behind. Bang. Du Guwudi's palm was directly printed on the opponent's chest, and the whole person was hit by this palm and flew backwards. Puff. He spit out a mouthful of blood, and then his eyes turned black, and he fainted directly. Du Guwudi sucked the opponent's body with his palm. You have strength, but you have too little experience in fighting with others. Duguwudi tapped the opponent's body with his fingers a few times, locking the opponent's meridians, and then lifted Bikingshan and went to the place where Guan Qi and the others fought. 2 days later, in a pavilion in Shangate, Su Chen looked at the secret letter in his hand. The Xianshan sect actually wants to control the Red Sand Palace through marriage and enter the pass. It seems that the Xianshan sect has great ambitions. Su Chen said softly. Duguwudi and his men took action, killed Yu Zongting, the elder of the Xianshan sect, and captured Bikingshan. They learned some information about the Xianshan sect from Bikingshan. In addition to the purpose of the marriage with the Red Sand Palace, they also got a general understanding of the situation of the Xianshan sect. The Xianshan sect is divided into 2 mountains, the north and south. Bikingshan is the eldest disciple of Mu Fengyan, the master of the South Mountain. Mu Fengyan's strength is in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. In the South Mountain, in addition to Mu Fengyan, who is the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, there are 2 elders of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man, and 2 elders of the 7 difficulties of heaven and man. Except Yu Zongting, who was killed, there are several people in the 5 difficulties of heaven and man and below. As for the North Mountain, the master of the North Mountain is called Jinduai, and his strength is the same as that of the master of the South Mountain. The number of other masters is about the same. As for the strength of the main peak, Bikingshan does not know. He only knows that the head of the Xianshan sect, Huo Mufeng, is at the level of Xianrenjiunan. The Xianshan sect is very strong. From the information we have obtained, at least 3 people are at the level of Xianrenjiunan. Su Chen thought to himself. Of course, he would not really think that the other party only had 3 Xianrenjiunan warriors. After 20 years of closing the mountain, with the resources of the Xianshan sect, 1 or 2 Xianrenjiunan warriors can definitely be cultivated. After all, the head of the Xianshan sect, Huo Mufeng, and the master of the North Mountain both had the strength of Xianrenjiunan 20 years ago. There is also a Kunlun sect. I wonder what it will look like when it comes out. Su Chen clenched his palms, and the secret letter in his hand turned into dust. We still need to pay attention to the outside of the Great Wall. Bei Xianayu's strength needs to be increased. Su Chen thought to himself. Bei Xianayu is in charge of King Cheng. Now with his strength, he can suppress King Cheng without showing up himself, but once the forces outside the Great Wall want to enter, Bei Xianayu's strength will be relatively weaker. I don't know how Bei Xianayu has practiced the Abbasideo 3 knives. If Bei Xianayu practices the Abbasideo 3 knives to the last knife, I believe he should be able to kill people across several realms. The last knife of the Abbasideo 3 knives is not a knife method, but a kind of evil power condensed, which has been separated from the knife method. Dada. At this time, the 5 poison boy walked in from outside the door. Master, Li Xiangxing successfully broke through to the first difficulty of heaven and man. This Li Xiangxing's foundation is not bad. Su Chen nodded. Master, when I went to meet Li Xiangxing, someone in the capital contacted Li Xiangxing and claimed to be the 9th prince's man. This Li Xiangxing is also loyal and did not dare to betray you, Master. The 5 poison boy said. The 9th prince's man. It seems that the 7th prince has failed and the other princes have also begun to move. Su Chen murmured in his mouth. But the other party actually found Li Xiangxing and should have found other people too. You should investigate this matter. Those who betrayed, just use the bliss bud to control them. Su Chen said coldly. Yes. The 5 poison boy took the order and left. At this time, on the way to Lingnan County, a carriage was moving slowly. Mei Zuanshan was running the power in her body to recover from her injuries. But she couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Without the precious medicine, my meridians can't be restored at all. Now it's even difficult to nourish the meridians with qi. Mei Zuanshan sighed. Suddenly, the carriage stopped in front of it. Swish. A cold light flashed, and a flying knife appeared at the throat of the coachman. Fortunately, the carriage was moving slowly, so there was no sudden stop. Mei Zuanshan, who was sitting in the carriage, changed her face. Mei Zuanshan, get out of the carriage. At this time, a low voice came from outside the carriage into the carriage. Mei Zuanshan's pupils shrank, and then she opened the curtains and walked out of the carriage. In front of the carriage stood a man in a black robe and a bamboo hat, whose face could not be seen clearly. He held a long sword in his hand. He exuded a sharp chill. Many Zuanshang, I'll give you a decent way to die, suicide. The man in black said coldly. You are a little slow. It has been so many days, and you just came to me. Many Zuanshang's expression did not change, and his tone was very calm. But when the other party heard Many Zuanshang's words, his expression changed. His eyes scanned the surroundings, and suddenly turned around, and was about to leave. Friends are here, how can you just leave like this? A figure appeared in front of the other party. The man was dressed in long-sleeved white clothes, holding a fan with white peach blossoms painted on it, with a melodious demeanor and a smile on his face. The smile was very faint, but it made people who saw him, whether men or women, feel as if they were bathed in spring breeze. Simian Palace, King Mei leader Yuan Zhengsu. The black-clothed man who was stopped looked at the person who came, and cried out in surprise. Chapter 333, Fighting for Life, Heavenly Evil Shura. You know me, so show your true face. The young man called Yuan Zhengsu looked at the man in black and said. The man in black was silent. He held the hilt of the long sword with some force. From his movements, he was very afraid of Yuan Zhengsu. It seems that you would rather show your face after death than reveal your true body now. Yuan Zhengsu looked at the other party's movements, and a cold light flashed in his originally peaceful eyes. He sensed the murderous intent on Yuan Zhengsu. The aura of the man in black also began to change. It is rumored that Yuan Zhengsu, the leader of the King Mei of Siniuan Palace, practiced Shian Shishura, one of the 5 unique skills of Siniuan Palace. I really want to see it. If I can die in Siniuan Palace, one of the unique skills, I will die without regrets. The man in black's tone became calm at this moment. The murderous aura on his body began to surge towards Yuan Zhengsu like a tide, with him as a core. Yuan Zhengsu's face was calm and composed, but he had already raised his own energy to the extreme. The man in black was going to attack with all his strength. Such an attack, if it is not used, will be extremely powerful. Of course, Yuan Zhengsu will not let the opponent accumulate momentum like this. Let the opponent circulate the momentum in his body to the strongest state. The aura of Yuan Zhengsu burst out, causing the black-clothed man to move slightly, but his hand holding the sword was very steady. In a flash, he slashed with the long sword in his hand. The position of this sword was Yuan Zhengsu's forehead. He wanted to die together. Perhaps only by dying together like this, he would have a chance to survive. This is to win in death. The sword was slashed out, and the body did not stop, rushing towards Yuan Zhengsu at a speed that was difficult to detect with the naked eye. Looking at the black-clothed man, Yuan Zhengsu did not think about it. He gently closed the folding fan in his hand, and then pointed it directly. The folding fan in his hand was not an ordinary folding fan, but was made of outer space black iron. If it continued to be nourished with its own energy, it could become a weapon of the instrument level. Bang! The folding fan collided with the opponent's long sword. The energy flowed out at the intersection of the two sides. The black-clothed man moved slightly, and a trace of blood flowed out of his wrist, but he did not retreat, but advanced. The long sword in his hand was slashed out in an instant, forming an extremely dense sword light that enveloped Yuan Zhengsu. The folding fan in Yuan Zhengsu's hand was like a dragonfly touching the water, all touching the place where the opponent's sword energy erupted, shattering all the opponent's sword energy. The black-clothed man who was advancing shook his body. A burst of energy also appeared on the wrist of his right hand holding the sword, and the long sword almost slipped out of his hand. Seeing this, the black-clothed man suddenly tapped his heart veins with his left hand a few times, and suddenly a huge blood energy was stimulated, and the energy also surged out at this moment. The opponent's palm clenched the long sword again. This time the opponent's swordsmanship changed, and the sword slashed out. The sword light was sharp, and the surrounding air was distorted and vibrated. It merged with the sunlight, and in the blink of an eye, the sword light disappeared, but the sound of the opponent's sword slashing could be heard. Because this sound carried a sense of ghosts crying and gods howling. Yuan Zhengsu on the opposite side had a condensed look. Although the opponent's sword had not arrived, he could sense the fierceness of the opponent's sword energy. When he sensed it, the sword light suddenly appeared, like a storm, attacking Yuan Zhengsu's body. The speed was so fast, and the moves were a bit weird. Yuan Zhengsu quickly blocked with the folding fan in his hand. Clang clang, the folding fan collided with the opponent's longsword, and sparks exploded. Yuan Zhengsu, who then attacked, felt a force appearing at his wrist. This force made his tiger's mouth tremble slightly, and the hand holding the folding fan seemed to be loose. Yuan Zhengsu suffered a little. The opponent's swordsmanship turned into such a fierce one in the blink of an eye. Opportunity. The man in black sensed this change, and knew it was an opportunity. He stepped forward, and the long sword in his hand strangely went towards Yuan Zhengsu's throat. Yuan Zhengsu felt the coldness in the opponent's sword light at this moment. There was a sense of danger attacking in his heart, and he did not hold back at all. The folding fan in his hand turned and disappeared, and then his palm turned black. He slapped it with one palm. The palm wind carried a bloody aura, and blasted towards the opponent. However, the opponent did not care about Yuan Zhengsu's palm attack at all, and continued to move forward. Yuan Zhengsu frowned, and his body quickly changed to avoid the opponent's longsword. But when he dodged, the opponent's sword energy covered him like a rainstorm. Seeing this, Yuan Zhengsu's face turned cold, and a strong bloody aura emerged from his body. The bloody aura condensed into Shura. Boom. Block the sword energy, then raise your palm, penetrate the sword light, and directly slap the opponent's chest with a palm. Bang. The opponent's body was directly shaken away, and fell to the ground, spurting out a large mouthful of blood. He glanced at Yuan Zhengsu. I burst out with all my strength, but I still couldn't hurt you. Yuan Zhengsu is worthy of being Yuan Zhengsu. After the man in black finished speaking, his own aura disappeared. Yuan Zhengsu glanced at the other party, and the folding fan in his hand appeared again. He took off the black clothes on the other party's face, and a very ordinary face appeared in front of him. I don't have any impression, and there is no sign of any assassin organization on him. It should be a killer secretly raised by some people. At this time, Mei Zuanshan walked over here. The other party is really cautious. They attacked me and sent killers. Thank you, Mr. Yuan this time. Mei Zuanshan thanked. This is what I should do, but from this incident, there is a spy in the 4th Prince's mansion. We need to investigate it thoroughly, Yuan Zhengsu said. This time Mei Zuanshan left alone, and no one knew except the 4th Prince. But the other party came to stop Mei Zuanshan, which shows that the person who was monitoring Mei Zuanshan was in the 4th Prince's mansion. The coachman was killed, so I will be your coachman, Miss Zuanshan, Yuan Zhengsu said. It's better not to. Brother Yuan is too dazzling as a coachman. This place is not far from the nearest town, and I can go there by myself. Although Mei Zuanshan was injured, she was still better than ordinary people. In this case, I will escort Miss Zuanshan in secret for a while, Yuan Zhengsu said. Mei Zuanshan drove away, and Yuan Zhengsu followed secretly. After the two left for a while, a figure appeared at the place where Yuan Zhengsu and the others had fought before. He appeared in front of the killed man in black, and checked the wounds on his body. A palm on the chest. The evil spirit entered the body. It should be the Cheyenne Shishura technique of Sunyuan Palace. The palm power is strong. The evil spirit is fierce. Who is escorting Mei Zuanshan from Sunyuan Palace? It seems that the other party is fishing. It is better to report this matter to the master quickly. The figure appeared and checked the wounds of the man in black. Then he grabbed the man in black, and went to the woods not far away. Killers and dead soldiers will eventually return to dust and earth, and their bodies cannot be exposed in the wild. Shanman, Su Chen received a letter from Mei Zuanshan, and Mei Zuanshan wanted to recuperate in his Shanman. Why did Mei Zuanshan come to my Shanman? What is she going to do? Su Chen frowned slightly. I don't know what Mei Zuanshan's plan is to come to him. At this time, the 5 poison boys came to Su Chen and said, My lord, the princess of Danliang in the capital has sent a pigeon to order Zhao Royan to attack you and kill you within 3 days. Chapter 334 Mirenfu, give him a taste of his own medicine. Hearing this, a trace of murderous intent flashed across Su Chen's brows. This Princess Danliang is really endless, forcing her to be killed. My lord, let me go to the capital to get rid of this Princess Danliang. The 5 poison boy said. Su Chen waved his hand and said, now is not the time to get involved in the turmoil in the capital. What information has Cui Wuhu received? My lord, Cui Wuhu has arrived at Oyan. He has found out some news. He is collecting the enemies of Princess Danayang in the Grudge Gate and wants to use these people to suppress the power of Princess Danayang in the Grudge Gate. The 5 Poison Boy said. I didn't see Cui Wu who had such thoughts before. Since he surrendered to me, he has completely changed. He has sublimated from a reckless man to a man of means. He can be of great use. Su Chen thought to himself. Let Cui Wu and his men handle this matter. We will mobilize some resources for him and let him use them. Su Chen said to the 5 Poison Boy. Yes. The 5 Poison Boy nodded. Then, sir, what about Xiao Ruan? How is her condition? Su Chen asked. She seems a little impatient and is very afraid that the Princess Danayang will attack her brother. The 5 Poison Boy said. Is there no news from Cui Wu about his brother? Su Chen couldn't help asking. Cui Wu only found out that Xiao Ruan's brother Xiao Mingyuan is missing, but didn't find any other information. The 5 Poison Boy said. Go to Jinfeng Xiao Tower secretly. Nalan Rangan should have this information. Su Chen said. He was assassinated, although Jinfeng Xiao Tower was not asked to do this, but as his intelligence organization, Jinfeng Xiao Tower must investigate the situation of Princess Danayang, Xiao Ruan. With Nalan Rangan's means, it should have been investigated long ago. As for Bai Chaofi, he has now left Lingnan County with Yuan Suan and went to Mengcheng in the northwest. Mengcheng is not far from here, but not close either. It takes more than 10 days to go back and forth. Nalan Rangan is now in charge of Jinfeng Xiao Tower. Subordinates, I will go to Nalan Rangan now. The 5 Poison Boy bowed and left the room. Inside the room, Su Chen looked at a pile of miscellaneous books. During this period of time, he had almost finished reading all the classics and secret books he had collected before. He was just flipping through the books, not really reading them carefully. If he read them carefully, these books would be enough for him to read for a year. A book like straw paper appeared in his hand. Destroy the sect, a book of 1 KO Tang medicine, and reward 2 blue lottery cards. The information was very simple. I didn't expect it to be a book of medicine. Su Chen moved the book of medicine to a place. He was also sorting out these miscellaneous books and classics. But the gains are getting less and less. It took so many days to collect an orange lottery card. It seems that I have to go out for a walk. Su Chen said in his heart. During this period of time, he kept a low profile, and the Qinglan Club also became low-key. Because of the low profile of the Qinglan Club, the business of the Qinglan Club has become a little worse recently, especially in the area managed by the Xiangsha League. Shen Giao of Xiangsha League came to the 9 counties in the north. He was very strong and domineering. On the first day, he went to Dao League. Guan Xianchao, the leader of Dao League, was suppressed by the opponent's sword power and voluntarily submitted to Xiangsha League. Of course, the reason why Guan Xianchao, the leader of Dao League, voluntarily submitted was that Shen Giao suppressed his own strength and suppressed Guan Xianchao in the way of sword. Shen Giao was called Sword and Sword Master by people in the martial arts world, which shows how strong his sword and sword skills are. Guan Xianchao, the leader of Dao League, is called the God of Sword. How could he be defeated by Shen Giao in sword skills? Su Chen was still a little confused in his heart. Of course, Su Chen still recognized Shen Giao's true strength. From the information he got, he knew that the opponent's strength was in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. After taking down Dao League, Shen Giao did not make any more moves. Previously, Su Chen thought that the opponent would take action against Xiangquan sect, but it did not. After conquering Dao League, he took action against the forces of other counties. The expansion was very rapid. When you expand to the peak, I will take you down directly, Su Chen said coldly. Then Su Chen looked at the lottery wheel, put the 2 blue lottery cards he just got together with the previous 8 cards, and exchanged them for 1 orange lottery card directly. Click to draw it. Host gets the character card, Mirengfu, HMM. Hearing this news, Su Chen's face was stunned. Mirengfu is a character in Xianlang Babu. He was very awesome at the beginning of the introduction. He was Mireng in the south and Kaio Feng in the north, and he was as famous as our Kaio gang leader. But later, he couldn't beat anyone. He can be said to be an extremely tragic character. However, Mirengfu has two good skills. One is Daozu and crossing Yi, and the other is to give him the same wares he gives you. Among them, giving him the same wares he gives you can be said to be a very practical unique skill. Chen then took a look at the other part, his strength introduction. The strength is in the three difficulties of heaven and man. Not too weak, but not strong either. In fact, Mirengfu has a strong aptitude for martial arts, but the emperor dream in his heart has become a demon in his heart, and he cannot become a strong man. In this world, if he concentrates on practicing martial arts, he might make good progress. With this Mirengfu, maybe I can get rid of the princess of Dandayang in advance. Chen thought to himself. Mirengfu's martial arts is to treat others with their own methods. This is a kind of martial arts that can imitate other people's martial arts and put the blame on others. In this way, it may cause greater turmoil. Capital, let me throw some bombs at you. Chen thought to himself. There was no such idea before, and there was no good way. After all, being suppressed was not Chen's idea. As long as he muddies the water in the capital, then it will be easy to deal with the power of the Xiangxia League in the 9 northern counties. One Xianren Jiunan is not enough here. But, Qinglang Temple should also pay attention. The changes in the capital and the 9 northern counties will definitely not be silent. You need to pay attention. Chen murmured. Then Chen continued to read some miscellaneous articles, but did not trigger any rewards, and left the library. He secretly came to a cave outside the Shan Gate, and summoned Mirengfu. Mirengfu was born in the Gusumiren family, and had the appearance and demeanor of a child from an aristocratic family. Meet the master. Mirengfu saluted Chen. This is my token. You can go to the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower in the county city at the foot of the mountain, to learn about the information in this world. You can also comprehend it on your own. We will meet here in a week. I have important things for you to do. During this period, it is best not to show your unique skills. I can use your unique skills. Chen said. I understand. Mirengfu nodded immediately. This world is very big, much bigger than the world you lived in your previous life. As long as you have strength, you can dominate one side. I believe that, after you understand it, the obsession in your heart in your previous life will change. Remember, in this world, strength is respected. Chen said and turned to leave the cave. His words to Mirengfu later were actually a kind of enlightenment. After all, being able to be as famous as Qiao Feng, Mirengfu has the foundation to become a strong man. Chapter 335 Princess Dandayang deserves to die. Rosewood Palace. Blackmail letter. County City. In the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower, Nalan Rangan was sorting out some secret letters. A small figure flew in from the window. It was the 5 Poison Boy. Sister Ellen, I came here this time to know about the things between the Princess of Dandayang and Xiao Royanov, Grudge Sect. The 5 Poison Boy said. It seems that this is not the first time that the 5 Poison Boy has come in like this. And from the way he addresses her, he gets along well with Nalan Rangan, calling her sister. This, I have prepared it for you a long time ago. Nalan Rangan stood up and took out a stack of secret manuscripts from a shelf and handed it to the 5 Poison Boy. The 5 Poison Boy took the secret manuscripts and flipped through them a few times. Xiao Royan's brother was killed 3 days ago. This Princess of Dandayang is really cruel. Looking at this information, the 5 Poison Boy said in surprise. He, the 5 Poison Boy, was cruel, but that was to the enemy, not to his own people. Xiao Royan was helping her kill people, but she killed someone's brother directly. This Princess Dandayang has been killing people since she was young, but outsiders don't know it. Nalan Rangan said. Thank you, Sister Ellen. I'll tell Xiao Royan right now. The 5 Poison Boy said. Why don't you stay here for a while? I can take you to a newly opened restaurant in the county city tonight. It is rumored that the ancestor of this restaurant was the imperial chef in the palace. Nalan Rangan said. It's not possible recently. There is no one around the young master. I want to be with the young master and wait for the original elder to come back. Sister Ellen, take me there. After the 5 Poison Boy finished speaking, he turned and flew out of the pavilion. Nalan Rangan continued to check the secret letter. But not long after she sat down, a disciple walked in from outside. Deputy building owner, there is a person holding a gold order downstairs outside, saying that he wants to see you. Gold order? See me. Nalan Rangan hurriedly got up and followed the disciple downstairs. Downstairs, a man in a black robe and a bamboo hat was standing in the pavilion. It was Mirengfu, who Su Chen had just summoned. Meet the messenger. Nalan Rangan stepped forward and said, and took Mirengfu to the pavilion. Inside the pavilion, I wonder what the messenger is here for. Nalan Rangan said, I want to enter the database of your Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower to check some things. I will leave in a week. Mirengfu, wearing a bamboo hat, said. Hearing Mirengfu's words, Nalan Rangan said, Messenger, please follow me. She had to cooperate unconditionally when she came with a token. Soon, they came to a secret room. This is the secret library of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. The messenger can check it inside. If you have any needs, you can come to me directly. Nalan Rangan said. Thank you. Mirengfu, wearing a bamboo hat, thanked him. Then he walked into the secret library and began to look for books to understand this world. 3 days later, Mirengfu, wearing a bamboo hat, walked out of the secret library. He came directly to Nalan Rangan's pavilion. Miss Nalan, please contact the young master and tell him that I will meet him in the cave this evening. Mirengfu said. I will send a pigeon to the young master immediately. Nalan Rangan said. He was a little confused in his heart. Why did the young master send this person? Of course, he was just confused in his heart, but he didn't dare to ask more. The more he contacted, the more he felt that Su Chen's identity was not simple. Shangate. In 3 days, Mirengfu should have read a lot of books. Su Chen looked at the secret letter sent by the pigeon and said in his heart, let's go and see Xiao Royan. Su Chen said to the 5 poison boy beside him. Xiao Royan already knew that her brother was killed by Princess Danayang. Now she is desperate. Although Mirengfu has a general understanding of the situation in the Great Zhao dynasty, the capital is different after all. If someone helps him, he will complete the task quickly. He believes that Xiao Royan at this time hopes that Princess Danayang will die and help Mirengfu. In a cave, Xiao Royan's eyes were dull. She wanted to go out for revenge, but her own power was all locked up. She was imprisoned in this stone cave and could not go out at all. Suddenly, the door of the stone cave opened. A figure walked in from outside the cave. Seeing this figure, a ray of light appeared in Xiao Royan's grey eyes, and she quickly came to Su Chen. Master Su, I'm willing to give everything. If you let me go out, I will kill Princess Danayang. Xiao Royan kowtowed to Su Chen. Blood flowed from her forehead when it hit the ground, but she didn't care at all. I can give you a chance. Su Chen looked at Xiao Royan and said. Xiao Royan, who was constantly kowtowing, heard Su Chen's words and immediately looked up at Su Chen. Master Su, are you willing to let me go and let me take revenge? Xiao Royan asked for confirmation. The Princess Danayang wants to kill me, so she deserves to die. You don't have to do anything. Your task is to assist the person who goes with you to kill Princess Danayang. Su Chen looked at Xiao Royan and said. Master Su, you are going to send someone to kill Princess Danayang, but she is the apple of King Liu's eye. Xiao Royan looked at Su Chen in surprise. Princess Danayang was so unscrupulous, mainly because her father was King Liu, a king of a different surname in the Great Zhao dynasty. He was a king of a different surname who commanded an army. 15 years ago, a young master from Huoyuan, who was a pretty good force, accidentally offended King Liu. King Liu directly led the army to flatten the mountain gate where that force was located, leaving no one alive. This incident made the forces in the martial arts world know the tyranny and cruelty of King Liu. Therefore, no one dared to offend the people of King Liu's mansion at will. Killing Princess Danayang here is exchanging life for life, and there is no fear in my heart. Su Chen is the master of Shanman. Once Princess Danayang's life or death is found out to be his doing, then King Liu will definitely mobilize the army to deal with Shanman. This is not something you should ask. Your task is to obey that person's orders. Su Chen looked at Xiao Royan and said. Wu Dutong, take her to clean up. I will take him away later. After Su Chen gave Wu Dutong instructions, he turned and left. Another place in the Red Sand Palace. The atmosphere seemed a little depressing because Chen, who came to the Chen sect for marriage, disappeared, and he disappeared for 3 days. 3 days later, they received a letter. The content of the letter was very simple, asking them to inform the Chen sect to send 3 Chen snow lotuses and 30 snow lotus bills. The 3 masters of the Red Sand Palace sat together. One of them was an old man with white beard and white hair, with a kind face and slightly narrowed eyes. Nothing else could be seen. This person was Yan, the master of the Red Sand Palace. On his left was a thin man with a thin face. The man had a slightly hooked nose and a clear face. His eyes seemed to be open and closed, and his eyes occasionally emitted a gleam of light. This person was Kunlun, the right guardian of the Red Sand Palace. On the right of the old man was a handsome middle-aged man with a strong build. He was Shangwen Nu, the left guardian of the Red Sand Palace. Shangwen's eyes bulged at this moment, and he looked very angry, because he was holding the blackmail letter sent by Dugu Wudi. Chapter 336, Bachalfi, Furnace Tripod, Autumn Butterfly. Palace Master, what do you think about this matter? Shangwen Nu said to Yan. Isn't this matter caused by the Mu family? Then let Elder Mu and others handle this matter. Kunlun, who was opposite him, said in a deep voice. From the tone, it can be seen that Kunlun, the right guardian of Zatan Palace, looked down on the Mu family. It is possible to let the Mu family go, but if we do nothing, I'm afraid that this matter will involve our Zatan Palace. I know that the one who followed Chen here is Yu Zhangting of Chen sect. I know that Yu Zhangting's strength is in the 7th level of Heaven and Man, and is about to enter the 8th level of Heaven and Man. He was arrested while escorting Chen. You can imagine how strong the person who took action is. I'm afraid that there are too many people involved. Shangwen Nu said with a frown. Chen sect is strong, but those who dare to take action against Chen sect are definitely not simple. You suspect that these demonic forces outside the Great Wall are using Chen to test the attitude of Chen sect. Kunlun said. The emergence of the Chen sect has made many people feel threatened, so it's not surprising that they took action. Shangwen Nu said in a deep voice. Don't worry about these things for now, let the Mu family deliver this letter to the Chen sect in person. Kunlun, you secretly investigate here to see who did it. After all, when the other party is testing the Chen sect, they are also slapping us in the face. Palace Master Yan said. Yes, I will investigate here. Kunlun said. Then I will send this letter to the Mu family and let the Mu family go to the Chen sect. Shangwen Nu also stood up, saluted to Yan, and left the palace. The palace became quiet. An old man walked in from the back hall of the palace. Seeing Yan, the old man immediately stepped forward and knelt down and said, Palace Master, you must save our Mu family. If the two had not left before, they would be surprised to see this kneeling old man. This old man is the ancestor of the Mu family. I asked you to do this. Don't worry, your Mu family will be fine. Send someone to Chen sect as soon as possible to give the letter to Mu Fengyan. Yan looked at the Mu family ancestor and said. From his words, it seemed that the marriage with Chen sect was not the idea of the Mu family ancestor, but the idea of Yan, the palace master of Zatan Palace. Palace Master, don't worry. Someone will be sent to Chen sect immediately. The Mu family ancestor said. You should start to retreat in seclusion in the near future. Come out when the wind comes down a little. Yan said. Yes, Palace Master. After kneeling, the Mu family ancestor quickly returned from the original route. Whoever ruined my plan, I will kill you with my own hands if I know. After the Mu family ancestor left, Yan, the palace master of Zatan Palace, who originally had a kind face, became ferocious. He originally wanted to use the power of Chen sect to contain the Qinglang Temple in the closed mountain, so that the people of Zatan Palace would have the opportunity to enter the northern 9 counties to lay out. Although the Qinglang Temple was closed, the masters of the Qinglang Temple actually did not lose anything. Once the Qinglang Temple found out that the Red Sand Palace had appeared, it might use this as an excuse to reopen the temple. So after the Chen sect came out, he asked the ancestor of the Mu family to meet the Chen sect, the master of Nanshan, Mu Fengyan, to promote such a marriage. But unexpectedly, in the end, Chen, who came to the marriage alliance, was kidnapped. Another place. In Mengcheng, in an inn. Yuan Suan sat cross-legged on the bed to practice, while Bai Chaofei was reading the news from Alan Rangan. Tonight, QIUKD will go to the K Mansion outside the city to attack Kainan, the second son of the K Mansion. After reading the information on the note, Bai Chaofei's palm circulated with qi, and the note instantly turned into powder. At this time, Yuan Suan, who closed his eyes to practice, said, "Then we stop QIUKD on the road." Yuan Suan looked at Bai Chaofei and said, "Yes, we will need brother Yuan's help to deal with the people brought by QIUKD." Bai Chaofei said, "This is what I should do." Yuan Suan said. After getting Yuan Suan's promise, Bai Chaofei smiled. Time passed little by little. In the evening, Yuan Suan and Bai Chaofei put on their bamboo hats, walked out of the inn, and went out of the city. They were going to wait for QIUKD to appear outside the city. At night, on an unofficial road, a figure was heading towards the K family manor at a very fast speed. The figure that was running suddenly stopped, and a surge of palm power appeared in front of her. The figure didn't have time to think about it, turned around to avoid the palm, and then stopped and looked towards a place. At this time, two figures came out from the dark. They were wearing black clothes, bamboo hats, and their faces were covered with black cloth, leaving only two pairs of extremely sharp eyes. "You two, I don't know why you stopped me." QIUKD, wearing a veil, looked at the two and said. She looked calm on the surface, but she was terrified in her heart. She didn't know when her whereabouts were known to the other party. "Your skills are very suitable for me." Bai Chaofei stepped forward and looked at QIUKD while speaking. "You need my skills." QIUKD's eyes flashed coldly when she heard this. Although she liked to use others as a furnace, she didn't want to be used as a furnace. She raised her palm, and a surge of energy appeared in her palm. At the same time, she shouted loudly and shot towards Bai Chaofei. The body did not arrive, but the sound of wind and thunder in the palm was heard. Bai Chaofei looked at the attack. His face did not change, and when the palm was about to fall, his body turned into a residual shadow and disappeared under QIUKD's palm. The attack missed, and QIUKD's expression changed. Suddenly, a chill appeared behind her, and she turned her head to look. Bai Chaofei was looking at her, and his finger pointed at her with an extremely thin energy. The speed was so fast that QIUKD felt a chill in her heart. She turned around and slapped out a palm. Swish. Bai Chaofei's finger penetrated the opponent's ki and touched the center of the opponent's palm. Suddenly, a ki like a tide burst out. QIUKD was directly repelled by this ki, and a blood hole flowed out of the center of her palm. There was still extremely yin ki around the blood hole. She couldn't stop bleeding for a while. Seeing this, Bai Chaofei rushed towards the opponent quickly, with his palm extended. He wanted to capture the opponent and absorb the opponent's power. Just as he extended his palm, his body suddenly stopped, and his hair stood up. He was locked by a sword. The sword energy that locked him was extremely sharp, and Bai Chaofei felt a chill in his heart. He was no match for the person who made the move. If the opponent slashed with a sword, he couldn't stop it. At this moment, Yuan Suan, who had been watching the battle before, suddenly raised his palm, and several silver lights flew out of his palm in an instant, rushing towards a place. Yuan Suan not only learned a lot of martial arts, but was also good at Tang sect hidden weapons. The person in the dark could only use his sword to block the hidden weapons. Bai Chaofei, who immediately took action, felt that the sword energy that locked him disappeared, and his figure quickly came in front of QIUKD. He pointed his fingers. In an instant, countless fingers covered every part of QIUKD's body. Chapter 337 Yuan Suan, Martial Arts Changes, Mirinfu, going to the capital. Seeing this, QIUKD did not sit still and wait for death. A cold light flashed in her eyes, and the energy in her body burst out. A scarlet color appeared in her palm, and she chopped it out with a palm. The scarlet energy burst out in her hand, trying to shake off the attacking fingers. However, Bai Chaofei's finger skills were sharp and weird, avoiding the energy chopped by QIUKD and landing on the opponent's body. One finger hit. Then all the important points on Kyukade's body were hit, and the energy and blood in her body stopped instantly. She fell to the ground. On the other side, after the sound of clang clang clang, a figure rushed out from the darkness. The figure that appeared rushed towards Betrayals, holding the sword with both hands and slashing it out with a sword. But after he drew his sword, a figure suddenly rushed out, slapped his palm on the sword body, and shook off the opponent's sword. The sword missed. The man in black was wrapped in a black robe, a bit like a ninja, looking at Yuan Suan with bloodthirsty eyes. If Yuan Suan hadn't taken action just now, even if he couldn't kill Betrayals with this sword, he could still save Kyukade. Sir, I'm one of the 4 noble ladies of Paradise Palace. If you deal with me, you are hostile to Paradise Palace. I think you should know the name of my Paradise Palace. Kyukade, who was controlled by Betrayals, said sternly. She hoped to use the power of Paradise Palace to make Betrayals afraid. We know who you are, otherwise we wouldn't be waiting for you here. Betrayals pressed the other's mute point while speaking. Take her away first, leave this to me. Yuan Suan sent a voice message to Betrayals, and he stared at the black-clothed man in front of him with a sword. Seeing this, the black-clothed man moved his body and wanted to follow Betrayals, but he was stared at by Yuan Suan, so he could only get rid of Yuan Suan first, before calling Kyukade. Suddenly, the black-clothed man's eyes became sharp, and a dark energy appeared in his body. But, in an instant, the dark light burst out from his long sword. The light was so dazzling that it hurt his eyes. Yuan Suan's eyes narrowed slightly. At the moment, when he narrowed his eyes slightly, the man in black attacked. He held the sword with both hands, and the sword came out. A dark sword light flashed by. Yuan Suan's figure flashed, and blood flashed. The sword light and blood shadow disappeared. The positions of the 2 sides were exchanged. Just now, both sides launched an attack at superhuman speed. The attack failed, and the man in black turned around, but held the sword, and drew the sword again. This time, the figure, the blade, the sword energy, and the sword light all reached a perfect consistency, forming an extreme. Yuan Suan's eyes changed, and his palms clenched into fists, and the energy in his body surged out like a sea. The dragon subduing and tiger subduing are hot fist. A fierce Shaolin martial art. Yuan Suan has practiced many martial arts to a state where he can perform them at will. This is a person's martial arts talent. Some people are born to be martial arts geniuses, while some people can only be ordinary martial artists throughout their lives. Bang! The sword energy collided with the fist. The figure of the man in black moved slightly. He didn't expect Yuan Suan to change his attack suddenly. Just as he moved slightly, Yuan Suan opened his fist, swung his arm and suddenly changed, and rolled towards the long sword in the opponent's hand. Flowing cloud flying sleeves. Extremely fast. Before the opponent could react, he wrapped the opponent's long sword. Slipping out of hand, then a stream of energy flowed, directly sweeping the opponent's tiger's mouth. The opponent's tiger's mouth was numb, and the long sword fell to the ground. Whoosh! The long sword fell, and Yuan Suan's other hand instantly sucked the long sword into his hand. With the long sword in hand, the 13 King Feng styles were performed instantly, and the sword energy was like a breeze, covering the opponent. The man in black didn't expect that in just a short moment, he would be covered by the opponent's sword light. The martial arts displayed by the opponent really shocked him. First, it was body skills, boxing skills, hidden weapons, flowing cloud iron sleeves, etc. And now it directly covered his sword skills, blocking all his paths of attack. At this time, he could only fight with force. Boom. The ki in his body circulated, and he chopped out with his palm, trying to break the opponent's sword ki blockade. But the opponent's sword ki was continuous, and he immediately followed up with the sword ki, after breaking a little. Suddenly, the opponent's sword technique changed. He used the sword as a knife, and performed an extremely sharp knife technique. Swish. He couldn't dodge in time, and was directly cut by a bloody mark on his chest. No, the sword is poisonous. The black-clothed man was shocked, and the wound actually made him feel numb all over. He quickly burst out his ki in blood, to force out the poison. But at this time, the opponent's palm was like a red-hot iron block, directly imprinted on the opponent's chest. Puff. The whole person fell to the ground. There was a bit of unwillingness in his eyes. He didn't know why a person could master so many skills. Yuan Suan glanced at the other party, wiped the hilt of the sword with his sleeve, and threw it directly on the ground. Then he left quickly. The body was not dealt with. It was mainly to make others suspicious. They thought that many people had killed this person. Lingnan County, in the cave under Shanman Mountain. Su Chen took Xiao Royan into the cave. When Mirren Fu, who was dressed in a black robe, saw Su Chen, he immediately stepped forward and bowed. "Greetings, young master. Mirren Fu, you should have a general understanding of the situation in this world in the past few days. This time I want you to go to the capital and kill the princess of Danliang. And the princess of Danliang must die under the family martial arts of the Duke of Zhengzhou, the enemy of King Liu, the extremely Iron Fist." Su Chen said. King Liu is one of the kings of different surnames in the Great Zhao dynasty. His mortal enemy is the Duke of Zhengzhou, Zeman Liang. The choice of the last king of the 8 kings of different surnames was a competition between Zeman Liang and King Liu. Originally, Zeman Liang had the opportunity to become one of the 8 kings of different surnames, but he was framed by King Liu and slept with the daughter of King Dongping, one of the 8 kings of different surnames at that time. It is impossible for one family to have 2 kings of different surnames. So King Liu became one of the 8 kings of different surnames, and Zeman Liang finally became the Duke of Zhengzhou. The two sides can be said to be feuds. Of course, the reason why he chose Zeman Liang was not only because he had a grudge against King Liu, but also because Zeman Liang and the Taishi mansion were a group of interests. Previously, during the 4-party meeting, he killed people from the Taishi mansion. It can be said that they had made enemies. Since they had made enemies, Su Chen would weaken the other party's strength whenever he had the chance. So if Mirren Fu killed Princess Danliang with Zeman Liang's fist, the conflict between the two families would inevitably escalate. If the two sides fought, the capital would become more chaotic. In this way, it could also indirectly help the 4th prince, and it could be regarded as a reward from him to Mirren King Chen. I will definitely not let down the young master's trust. I will leave for the capital and complete the task assigned by the young master as soon as possible. Mirren Fu said. By the way, her name is Xiao Royan. She can help you understand some of the situation in the capital and help you sort out relevant information. Su Chen looked at Xiao Royan and said. Mirren Fu also glanced at Xiao Royan at this time, thought for a moment and nodded. Xiao Royan followed him by default. Go to the capital with him. After Mirren Fu walked out of the cave, Su Chen also left quickly and returned to Shangate. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338, Mei Zuanshan arrives, and the person who never returns to the underworld. Outside the Great Wall, Wu Demon Dugu Wudi looked at the letter in his hand, his face showing joy. Zatan Palace replied, Xianshan sect has agreed to redeem them with Xianshan Snow Lotus and Snow Lotus Pill. I didn't expect that Xianshan sect would be so generous. It seems that there are quite a few Xianshan Snow Lotus and Snow Lotus Pill in Xianshan sect. I'm a bit disappointed this time. Dugu Wudi sighed, clasped his fists towards Guan Qi and said, thank you very much, brother Guan Qi this time. It's just a small effort, and I didn't come here for nothing this time. Guan Qi waved his hand. Dugu Wudi didn't invite him for free. He paid a lot. Of course, the main thing is that Guan Qi doesn't want to stay in Lingnan County, and he also needs to continue to improve his strength. Only when his strength improves, he can take charge of a place. As the 7th saint of Mitian League, Guan Qi is not only obsessed with martial arts, but also hopes to become the overlord of the world. A man of the world cannot become a man of the world without such a heart. Brother Guan, I think the area outside the Great Wall has more potential than the 9 northern counties. As long as we do it well, we will definitely get countless resources, and our strength will definitely grow faster. Dugu Wudi said. In fact, we can control the ghost area. Guan Qi said in a deep voice. The big boss of this ghost area rarely shows up. According to my observation, the strength of this big boss of the ghost area should be among the 8 difficulties of heaven and man. To get rid of him, at least 2 masters of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man are needed. With such strength, unless the master supports me, I can't control the ghost area with my strength. But I have been secretly eroding the ghost area, and I believe there will be results soon. Once the details and whereabouts of the big boss are found out, I can ask the master to send a master to kill him. As long as he is killed, we should be able to control the ghost area. Dugu Woody said. Then congratulations to brother Dugu on your immediate success. Guan Qi said. He will not compete with Dugu Woody for the area outside the Great Wall. What he needs to do here is to improve his own strength. As long as he becomes stronger, he will occupy a piece of land, and that piece of land will be his. Another place in the ghost domain, the first place, Zhu Xiang, Lei Jiudang, and Lei Xingchuan gathered in a secret room. This Xianshan sect actually agreed to the request of Dugu Woody and his men. What do you think, big boss? The speaker was the second boss Zhu Xiang. I have no opinion, just wait and see. I feel that you seem to be worried about something recently. Are you worried about the Woody sect or Dugu Woody? Lei Jiudang looked at Zhu Xiang and said, I'm worried about the Woody sect and Guan Qi. Guan Qi's eyes are like a wolf. He is cruel to the enemy and to himself. If Guan Qi has ideas about our ghost domain, we have to guard against it. Zhu Xiang said in a deep voice. Guan Qi is just a helper invited by Dugu Woody, and he should not stay outside the Great Wall for a long time. But we have to guard against what you said, brother Zhu. You monitor some of the movements of the Woody sect. Lei Jiudang said. Although the Shianaya pavilion behind Dugu Woody is strong, if anyone tries to seize his territory, he can only fight with them. At this time, in the central area of Xianshan Mountain, in a warm valley, there are 3 tall towers, the tallest in the middle, and the same on both sides. There are many courtyards below. In one of the quaint courtyards, a man in a green robe, with his palm pressed on a broken teacup, looked at a disciple in front of him, and said in a deep voice, is there no clue at all? The man in the green robe was Mu Fengyan, the master of the Nanshan Mountain of the Xianshan sect. After learning about the situation of Bikingshan and others, he immediately sent people to investigate. Mountain Master, the place where the fight took place has been buried by wind and sand, and there is no clue. The disciple below him replied. No, never mind, let Elder Fang and his brothers go, and trade with the other party this time. After the transaction is completed, don't hold back. Mu Fengyan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. I will bring the Mountain Master's order to the 2 elders. After saying this, the disciple quickly left the hall. Mu Fengyan frowned in the hall. Xianshan sect had just come out and encountered such a situation, which greatly damaged the prestige of Xianshan sect. The opponent must be found and killed. Let the forces outside the Great Wall see the consequences of offending Xianshan sect. This matter was caused by Zitan Palace. Give them 3 days to investigate this matter. If they can't find out, then there is no need for Zitan Palace to exist. Mu Fengyan's eyes were full of cold light. After saying this, he also stepped out of the hall and headed towards the high tower in the middle. That is where the head of Xianshan sect is located. Lingnan County B's Henfu Division and Helian Zioao received a letter from the capital. Has the third prince given up the plan to cooperate with the Qinglang Society? Helian Zioao frowned. Although he didn't see Xu Qin last time, he also saw Yuan Suan. Yuan Suan's hint at the time was very obvious. As long as they pay enough, they are willing to cooperate. But the third prince suddenly changed his mind about contacting the Qinglang Society and was not prepared to cooperate with the Qinglang Society. What are the third prince and the others doing? Helian Zioao frowned. Then he came to the study and immediately wrote a letter to his father. Want to know what happened in the capital? After writing the letter, he walked out of the commander's mansion and headed towards the Golden Wind and Rain Tower. Shan Gate. Yuan Suan has already returned. As for Bei Chalfi, he absorbed the power of Qiukd and began to retreat after returning. According to Yuan Suan's observation, Bei Chalfi may step into the 5 difficulties of heaven and man in 1 step. The main reason is that the power of Qiukd is too strong. After absorbing the energy, Qiukd did not immediately improve her own strength, but wanted to step into a higher realm in 1 step. Unfortunately, all the absorbed energy was obtained by Bei Chalfi. The 5 difficulties of heaven and man. With such strength, with the cooperation of Yedi, and in the future, the Golden Wind and Rain Tower in the capital should be established. Su Chen thought in his heart. The capital is the center of the great Zhao dynasty. Many news came from the capital, and it is very important to know the situation in the capital. That's why he was in a hurry, to establish the Golden Wind and Rain Tower in the capital. At this time, a disciple came to the headmaster's hall. Headmaster, Mei Zuanshang is here to visit you. Please let her in. The disciple bowed and left the hall immediately. After a while, he walked into the hall with the injured Mei Zuanshang. Headmaster Su didn't expect that we would meet again. Mei Zuanshang stepped forward and said when she saw Su Chen. Headmaster Mei, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon, but why haven't your meridians been reconnected yet? If it's too late, it will affect your body. Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshang, sensed the broken meridians on Mei Zuanshang's body, and spoke. There is no safe place, so I haven't recovered from my injuries for the time being. Mei Zuanshang said. But my injuries are not the point. This time I came here to ask you to help Miran Qingchen get revenge. She died at the hands of the Huanquan Bugi people, and I know where those people are hiding in the capital. Mei Zuanshang suddenly revealed such a secret. Chapter 339, Storm in the Capital, the 4th Prince moves. Do you know where those people are in the capital? Su Chen showed surprise on his face. Didn't you tell the 4th Prince about this? Although Miran Qingchen is talented and capable, there is no other use for others to assassinate her, except to weaken the 4th Prince's strength. So it is certain that Huanquan Bugiran came for the 4th Prince Liu Long this time. Miran Qingchen's death may just be the prelude to this storm. The 4th Prince has no ability to avenge this, but you do. Mei Zuanshang looked at Su Chen and said. Palace Master Mei, the 4th Prince has no ability. How can I have such an ability? Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshang with surprise in his eyes. He didn't know how Mei Zuanshang saw that he had the ability to help Miran Qingchen take revenge. You are different from the 4th Prince. The 4th Prince has too many concerns and worries. There are countless people behind him. He dare not move rashly, but you can avenge Miran Qingchen. Although with your identity and status, Miran Qingchen's help to you before is dispensable, but she has helped you anyway, so I hope you can help Miran Qingchen to avenge. What's more, we are friends. If you help Miran Qingchen to avenge, you are actually helping me to avenge. Mei Zuanshang said in a deep voice. I'm very curious why you Changhan Palace didn't take action. There are many masters in Changhan Palace. Changhan Palace can't tolerate you being injured like this. Su Chen did not answer Mei Zuanshang's words, but asked like this. He was a little curious why Mei Zuanshang did not mobilize the people of Changhan Palace. My mother has been in seclusion for too long, and there are some unusual movements in the palace. Otherwise, do you think I would come to you for help? Mei Zuanshang looked at Su Chen and said. Is that so? It seems that your situation is not good either. Su Chen said. Miran Qingchen was indeed helpful to him. If he could help Miran Qingchen to avenge himself, he would certainly be willing to do so. However, he knew nothing about the capital. If he acted blindly, he would only put himself in a passive position. It's not good, so this time I ask you to help kill Huanquan Bugi. Mei Zuanshang looked at Su Chen and said. The death of Miran Qingchen involves a lot of things. If you are not careful, you may be deeply involved. Su Chen said in a deep voice. It seems that you are timid. I thought you were decisive in killing. I came all the way to find you. Mei Zuanshang looked at Su Chen with disappointment in her eyes. Su Chen didn't care about the disappointment in Mei Zuanshang's eyes. Although he and Mei Zuanshang had some friendship, it was not deep, so there was no need to pay too much attention to her look. Of course, it was mainly because Mei Zuanshang or Miran Qingchen had not yet reached the point where Su Chen could help him with all his strength. To deal with Huanquan Bugiran, I have to use the power of the Qinglang Society. Although I'm the young leader of the Qinglang Society, the Qinglang Society is not just me. Of course, if I'm only the young leader of the Qinglang Society, it would be fine to take action, but I'm still the head of the Shanman. Shanman now has tens of thousands of disciples. If I'm not careful, these disciples will be in trouble. Do you think I should be cautious and insert myself into the circle of the struggle in the capital for no reason? Su Chen said in a deep voice. He believed that Mirren Chen's accident this time was caused by the struggle between the princes. Hearing Su Chen's words, Mei Zuanshan was stunned. She forgot Su Chen's identity as the head of the Shanman. She only paid attention to his identity as the young leader of the Qinglang society. I didn't think it through and wrongly blamed you, Mei Zuanshan said. In fact, you may have underestimated the fourth prince. If the fourth prince doesn't take action in this matter, then he shouldn't fight for the throne anymore. Su Chen said. People are coming to kill you, and you are still hesitating. You can't be an emperor this way. There should be news from the capital in the next few days. You should take good care of your body and restore your meridians as soon as possible. I think you should have a meridian restore pill here. Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshan and said, the fourth prince has helped me get the meridian restore pill, and it should be delivered to Shanman in the next 2 days. Mei Zuanshan said, then take good care of your injuries in Shanman. Don't worry about your safety in Shanman. Su Chen instructed the attendants outside the palace gate, arrange an independent courtyard for Palace Master Mei. A disciple came in and came to Mei Zuanshan. Palace Master Mei, please. Mei Zuanshan glanced at Su Chen and followed the disciple out of the hall. After Mei Zuanshan walked out of the hall, Su Chen began to ponder. The Changhan Palace has been suppressed, Mirren Chen has been killed, and the fourth prince is not sure if you can withstand this. Although Su Chen was not clear about the struggle in the capital, he knew the fourth prince's current situation. Capital. Pacification Division. The fourth prince stood by the window with his hands behind his back, looking out the window at the quiet and desolate scene. Your Highness, there is still no movement over there, and I feel that there will be no clues if we wait any longer. A man in a green robe spoke. It seems that the group of people have been abandoned, so let's do it, and there is no need to leave them alive. When the fourth prince spoke, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Mirren Chen was born of the same mother as him. How could he let these people go after being assassinated? The next day, he found out the whereabouts of those people. This is the capital of the great Zhao dynasty. It is the territory of his Liu family. As long as he wants to find them, he will definitely find them. The reason why he didn't take action is that he was waiting. He hopes to gain something else. But after those people killed Mirren Chen, they stayed in the courtyard and never came out. No one had contact with them. They had become dead chess pieces and were abandoned. Yes. The man in green robe saluted and quickly gathered people and horses, heading towards a place in the imperial city. When the people and horses moved, the Zenfu division also began to operate quickly. With this movement, he believed that something should be drawn out. The Zenfu division has sent out people and horses. What's the situation? Some people in the inns and restaurants in the city saw the Zenfu division people running on the street and couldn't help but speak. It should be the 13th princess's matter. They should have discovered something, and now they are starting to encircle and suppress it. Someone said so. Although it has been a long time since Mirren Chen's death, some people have forgotten this matter. This matter is too big. At this time, on the pavilion of a tall building, a man in a black robe and a ferocious Yama mask looked at the people from the Zenfu division, who were running fast on the street and said, "It took you so long to take action. Liu Long, what are you waiting for? Chief, should we notify them?" A man in a green robe with a spear on his back stood behind him and said, "There are already spies from the Zenfu division and the fourth prince himself over there. Anyone who contacts them will be detected immediately." The man wearing the Yama mask said, "Chief, are we going to give up on them like this?" The man with the spear on his back said, "We can only give up." The man wearing the Yama mask said, his voice was cold, and there was no emotion. The man with the spear on his back looked a little gloomy when he heard this. Chapter 340, the leader of the Huanquan Bugi people, the commission to kill the fourth prince. To accomplish great things, one must inevitably give up something. The masked man seemed to sense the gloomy look of the man with the spear on his back and spoke. "I want to go take a look," said the man with the spear on his back. "That place is probably full of spies from the pacification department. With their sharp noses, they will find you, as long as you get close. Just wait here with me for news." The masked man turned and walked into the room while speaking. Only by being cautious can one reduce the risk to the minimum. Although the man with the spear on his back was unwilling, he did not disobey the order of the masked man. "Actually, there are some things that I don't understand," said the man with the spear on his back. "Tell me, I will answer for you." The masked man sat down and spoke. "Those people, if they want to deal with the fourth prince, why don't they just entrust us to kill the fourth prince? Why do they want us to kill Mirren King Chen? Liu Long is one of the 9 regent princes of the Great Zhao dynasty. Killing him will definitely cause changes in the capital of the Great Zhao dynasty. Those people probably don't want to cause unrest in the capital, so they only killed Mirren King Chen and didn't kill Liu Long directly. As for what they want to do later, I don't know. But this is of great significance to the return of our Huangquan Bugi people," the masked man said in a deep voice. "Huangquan Bugi people killed Mirren King Chen this time. Although the Great Zhao dynasty did not announce who did it, some people with ulterior motives already knew that they were Huangquan Bugi people. Now their name has spread in the Great Zhao dynasty. I believe it won't be long before Huangquan Bugi people will once again shock the Great Zhao dynasty. This is also the reason why they reappeared at this time. In an ordinary courtyard in the capital, a man who led the Zenfu division punched open the door of the courtyard. "Kill. Leave no one alive." The people behind him rushed into the courtyard quickly. Swish. At this time, a sword light appeared from the house, and a woman in tight clothes appeared with several men in black robes holding swords. "Kill." The long sword in the woman's hand was like thunder, and she killed the leading man. The underworld will never return. A group of people who have been buried in the soil dared to kill people in the capital. The leading man snorted coldly and raised his hands. At the moment of raising his hands, a pair of dark gold chainmail gloves appeared on the man's hands. The chainmail gloves flashed with cold light and directly grabbed the opponent's long sword. The speed was so fast that in a blink of an eye, he grabbed the opponent's long sword. Clang clang. The chainmail collided with the long sword. Sparks flashed. The woman with the sword saw that her long sword was grabbed. Her eyes changed and she wanted to pull back the long sword. But she was grabbed by a huge force. When her body was grabbed towards the other party, 3 cold lights suddenly emerged from her mouth and went towards the man's face. The man's other hand went straight to the 3 cold rays. He grabbed the 3 cold rays in his hand. Then his fingers suddenly opened and 3 cold rays shot out directly, hitting the face of the woman in tight clothes. The woman in tight clothes screamed, and then she died. The 4th Prince Liu Long did not want to live, so he did not have to worry about his heavy hands. In the courtyard, the other black-clothed men were surrounded, and several people killed one person. Not long after, all the black-clothed men in the courtyard were hacked to death. Of course, there were also some casualties in the Zenfu division. "Search, see if there are any valuable clues," the leading man said to the few people behind him who did not take action. These people quickly entered the courtyard. When the people from the Zenfu division dragged the corpse out of the house, a man in a black robe, with a black cloth covering his face, and wearing a bamboo hat, slowly stepped onto the pavilion. Sensing the movement of the pavilion, the masked man and the man with a spear on his back stood up at the same time, staring at the door of the pavilion. "Don't be nervous, both of you," the person who came in spoke. His voice was suppressed, and the original sound could not be heard. "Sir, what mission do you want to give us again?" the masked man spoke. "This time, you are asked to kill the 4th prince, but you can't kill him in the capital. You have to kill him outside the capital," the person who came in spoke. Hearing the words of the person who came in, the masked man's eyes flashed coldly, and his face under the mask twitched a little. Previously, he had mentioned killing the 4th prince, but he denied it. Now the other party came and said he wanted to kill the 4th prince. Let him know that some of his previous speculations may be wrong. The first step of the other party was to kill Mirren King Chen, so that people outside would think that someone was weakening the strength of the 4th Prince Liu Long, giving people a sense of struggle between the crown princes. Let him think that the other party is a member of the royal family. But now he wants to kill the 4th prince, overturning his previous speculation. The other party may not be a member of the royal family. The price of killing the 4th prince is different from the price of killing a princess. The person wearing the Yama mask said in a deep voice. Although the guess was wrong, it had nothing to do with them. They just took money to kill people. 50,000 taels of gold, of which a deposit of 10,000 taels will be sent outside the city, to the place you have determined. The man who came said, double it. This time the deposit needs to be increased to 80%, and we will only make 3 attempts. If we fail to kill the 4th prince 3 times, we will not make another attempt, and the deposit will not be refunded. The masked man said, okay. The man who came did not bargain and nodded directly. Tomorrow, you can leave the city and take the gold away. After saying that, the black-robed man left quickly. Watching the black-robed man leave, the masked man fell into deep thought. He wanted to know what the other party's purpose was in killing the 4th prince. Chief, the 4th prince is protected by masters, and it may be difficult for us to assassinate him. The man with a spear on his back said in a deep voice. His voice also interrupted the masked man's contemplation. Don't worry about it for now. Tomorrow you will personally lead people to the outside of the city to transport the gold away. After transporting it away, quickly have people disperse and take it away. The masked man said. And you don't have to come back. This time, I will personally assassinate the 4th prince. As long as I kill the 4th prince, I will never return to the underworld, and I will become the #1 assassin organization in the Great Zhao dynasty. At this point, the masked man's eyes were hot. Chief, you can't do it yourself. We don't know the strength of the masters around the 4th prince. Otherwise, I will go and test it for you first, said the man with a spear on his back. Testing is fearless suicide. If I can't succeed, then I can just find someone to assassinate me twice later. The masked man shook his head and said, Chief, how about sending a pigeon to ask the elder to come? The man with a spear on his back was still a little worried. I have practiced the 3rd level of the dying skill to perfection. If I can't kill the other party, there will be no problem escaping. The masked man said confidently. Chief, if you practice the triple power of dying to perfection, then even if the enemy has masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man around them, they can still escape. Upon hearing this, the man with the spear on his back showed surprise at first, and then joy. Chapter 341, using oneself as bait, the silver was robbed. Inside the capital pacification office, the 4th prince sat in a room with an ancient charm. Opposite him stood a burly and strong man. The man was about 40 years old, wearing a martial robe with a golden silk border. Although his face was rough, he was full of the temperament of a superior. His eyes were shining, and standing there gave people a strong sense of oppression. This man was named Chen, the chief hall of the pacification office, one of the 5 deputy hall masters. Your Highness, I have not found any other clues here. These people were killed, and all the clues were cut off. Chen said in a deep voice. It's cut off, but it won't be cut off. Do you know why I want to kill them all? The 4th Prince Liu Long said. I don't understand. Please explain it to your Highness. Chen didn't quite understand the 4th Prince's plan. Huangquan Bugiran is a killer organization. They only kill people for money. What's the point of catching them alive? What's more, their target should not be King Chen, but me. Now that I have cut off these clues, what do you think they should do next? While speaking, the 4th Prince Liu Long stood up, and a gleam of brilliance flashed in his eyes. They will attack your Highness next. As one of the 5 deputy commanders of the Zenfu division, Chen couldn't help but speak. After he finished speaking, his expression suddenly changed. Your Highness, how dare they attack you? The princes are fighting for the throne. Who dares to kill like this? Aren't they afraid of being blamed by His Majesty? Chen was a little afraid to imagine. Maybe it's not the means of my royal family. The 4th Prince Liu Long said in a deep voice. Your Highness, you mean that there are outsiders who have taken action? Hearing this, Chen frowned slightly. Princes can fight for power, but the core members of the royal family cannot kill each other. This is the rule set by the Emperor of the Great Zhao dynasty. If any prince dares to violate it, his status as a prince will be directly revoked. Your Highness, in this case, you'd better stay in the Zenfu division. As long as you are in the Zenfu division, your safety is absolutely guaranteed. Chen said. I can't stay in the Zenfu division. If I stay in the Zenfu division, how can the other party attack? This is why I don't want to leave anyone alive. Without a survivor, this matter can be settled, and I can leave the Zenfu division. In this way, they will have a chance to attack me. As long as they attack again, then we will make them come and never return. The fourth Prince Liu Long said coldly. But your highness, you will. I can't hide in the Zenfu division forever. I really want to see who wants to kill me. The fourth Prince Liu Long's voice seemed very low. But, Yu Shan wanted to persuade him, but was stopped by the fourth prince. After the personnel come back, you will start to close the case. After the case is closed, I will leave and return to the fourth prince's mansion. The fourth prince waved his hand. Yes. Yu Shan bowed and said. Then he left the room. King Chen, I will avenge you. I will find out all these people one by one. In the room, the fourth prince muttered. The 9 regent princes were not randomly selected. To become a regent prince, martial arts and ability are indispensable. Come here. A man in black walked out of the dark. Send this letter to Su Chen of Shan Gate. The fourth Prince Liu Long said. Lingnan County Shan Gate. Su Chen came to Medi Zuanshang's residence. This is the news from the capital. The fourth prince took action and killed the person who killed King Chen at that time. Su Chen handed the secret letter to Medi Zuanshang. The fourth prince took action and killed the person who attacked King Chen. Medi Zuanshang showed surprise on her face. She didn't expect it. You underestimated the fourth prince. Is it such a simple person to become one of the 9 regent princes of the great Zhao dynasty? Su Chen said. Medi Zuanshang opened the secret letter to check. After reading it, she couldn't help but frowned. Kill them all, leaving no one alive. What does the fourth prince want to do? Medi Zuanshang was a little confused about this. Shouldn't some people be left alive? It doesn't make much sense to leave people alive. Huangquan Bugiran is a killer organization. Those people are just killers. What can they know? Su Chen said. But wouldn't the clues be cut off? Medi Zuanshang said. Maybe the fourth prince has other information, or other means. You should cultivate your meridians well recently, restore your strength as soon as possible, and return to your Changhan palace. Su Chen said. Su Chen will not stay in Shanmen all the time, so he doesn't want Medi Zuanshang to stay in Shanmen all the time. Are you trying to drive me away? Hearing Su Chen's words, Medi Zuanshang looked at Su Chen tightly. Seeing Medi Zuanshang like this, Su Chen felt that Medi Zuanshang's personality had changed a little after this incident. When she came to Lingnan County, she was very cold. I won't stay in Shanmen for nothing. By the way, do you want to contact Zihanayu of Hanayu sect? I know where she is. Medi Zuanshang said. Zihanayu, hasn't she fled to Lingnan County yet? Su Chen had a deep impression of Zihanayu. After all, Zihanayu pretended to be his stepmother for a while. Hanayu sect, but they haven't found the secret vault yet. How could they leave Lingnan County? Medi Zuanshang said. Didn't they say it was in Qingcheng last time? Su Chen didn't finish the rest of the sentence. That's just a secret vault outside. Medi Zuanshang said. Your Shanman is now the only one in Lingnan County. You can cooperate with Hanayu sect. Maybe the treasure's in the secret vault. Medi Zuanshang said. The strength of Hanayu sect? Su Chen began to shake his head when he said this. Don't you think Hanayu sect is just this little bit of strength? Medi Zuanshang saw Su Chen's expression and couldn't help but say. The Dharma King, Dharma Protector, and elders of the Hanayu sect are too weak. There is no need for cooperation. When Su Chen said this, he was a little confused. How could the Hanayu sect survive for so long in the Great Zhao dynasty with such a small strength? The Great Zhao dynasty has been letting it go. You underestimate the Hanayu sect. The Hanayu sect is divided into 2 sects, the inner and outer sects. In fact, the members you see now are all members of the outer sect of the Hanayu sect. The strength of the inner sect members is not that simple. Otherwise, do you think the Hanayu sect can survive for so long in the Great Zhao dynasty? Medi Zuanshang looked at Su Chen with a look of looking at a fool. The inner sect members are not simple. Su Chen could only think so in his heart. How about it? You can consider it. If you get some treasures in the secret library, I believe your status in the Qinglang Association will be higher. Medi Zuanshang said. I'd better stabilize my Shan Gate first. Su Chen shook his head. For the time being, he didn't want to cooperate with the Hanayu sect. When Su Chen's voice fell, a panting voice ran in from outside the courtyard. It was Su Chen's younger brother Fatty. Master. The 500,000 taels of silver we transported back from the BD County Bank were robbed on the way, and no one survived. The fat man said immediately, after taking a breath. Someone robbed the silver we transported back from BD County. Do you know who did it? Hearing this, Chen frowned and asked. It might be someone from the Xiangsha Alliance. The fat man said, after thinking for a moment. Chapter 342, Emperor of the Night Future. The Xiangsha Alliance took action? Chen frowned slightly. He did not take action against the Xiangsha Alliance, but the Xiangsha Alliance took action against them first. This is self-inflicted. If they want to die earlier, Chen will help them in advance. If they take action, they should not only take action against our bank. The money transportation routes of other banks may be in danger. Chen said in a deep voice. Master, I have notified other banks to temporarily stop transporting silver here, said the fat man. If you do this, you will fall into the trap. When you go back, immediately notify the shopkeepers of our banks in various places and ask them to hide the silver. But I don't know if there is enough time. Chen ordered. Chen believed that the Xiangsha Alliance would not take action just for 500,000 taels of silver. It may also take action against other banks in various places. This should be the work of Shen Giyu. This person is not simple. You must be careful to deal with him. Mei Zuanshang said on the side. Master, what should we do now? Hearing this, the fat man was a little panicked and didn't know what to do for a while. Just follow my instructions. You can go to the original elder and ask him to go with you to the Golden Wind and Rain Tower. Let the people in the Golden Wind and Rain Tower find out where Shen Giyu of Xiangsha League is. Chen said. As long as the silver is in the 9 northern counties, he can't run away. He can get it back at any time. Yes. The fat man bowed and left the courtyard. In the courtyard, Mei Zuanshan looked a little solemn. Don't you ask the people from the Kinglan Club to help? In her eyes, if Xiangsha League took action, Shanman would basically be unable to stop it. Unless Chen used the power of the Kinglan Club. My master is injured. Normally, I can't trouble the Kinglan Club. If I have to take action, I must kill him with one strike. Chen said. One strike and one strike. Mei Zuanshan understood what Chen meant. If he mobilized the Kinglan Club, then he would have to destroy Xiangsha League with one strike. It seems that his life in the Kinglan Club is not easy. His master, Senior Daomo, has exploded his physical potential. It is probably difficult for him to recover. Without his master's help, he will lose support in the Kinglan Club. Mei Zuanshan thought to herself at this time. In fact, he didn't know that Dingpeng's body had recovered long ago. Others may be possessed by demons when using the golden plum bottle, but Chen and Guan Qi will not. Although Dingpeng's body recovered again after his potential exploded this time, he did not find any direction to break through. It seems that there is no realm after the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. I'll go and deal with things first. Chen said to Mei Zuanshan. You deal with things first. Don't worry about me. I can just recover from my injuries normally. Mei Zuanshan waved her hand. She knew Chen was a little busy now. Chen left. He did not return to the headmaster's hall, but went to the high building of Shangate. Standing on the high building. At this moment, the north wind rose and snowflakes fell one after another. Xiang Xiameng, how can I deal with you, Yan Nanshan? Chen murmured in his mouth. Shen Giyu's strength. Chen had already found out that in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, he was also good at the attack and defense technique, White Tiger Black Turtle technique. White Tiger is good at killing, Black Turtle is good at defense, and this person is also good at hiding. Although he is in Longbei County, few people have seen him. If you want to deal with someone, you must first know who he is, and where he is. Just like the current situation, we know who he is, but we don't know where he is. It is difficult to kill this Shen Giyu. If you like to hide, then I will lure you out first, and then kill you. Chen's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He now has 4 masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, so it should not be difficult to kill Shen Giyu. Just erase the traces of Yi and Da's actions. Thinking of this, Chen said, contact Yi and Deifu and ask them to go to the secret cave to wait for me. This time he wants Yi and Deifu to take action. The 5 poison boys who had been following him bowed and left quickly. Emperor Knight and Future, after being summoned by Chen, they quickly went to understand the situation of the dynasty in their world. Lingnan County. The Emperor Knight, dressed in brocade, was in Lingnan County, where scholars and poets gathered. The Emperor Knight was talented and good at playing the piano, chess, calligraphy and painting. He was a person who knew how to enjoy life. He was wearing a brocade robe. In addition to the air of a scholar, he also had a noble air, which made people feel that this person was superior. However, he was kind to others and soon became one with these people. He finished playing the piano. When he was about to drink with others, a servant came in from outside, came to Emperor Knight's ear, and whispered. Hearing the servant's words, Emperor Knight stood up and clasped his fists and said, "There is something going on at home today. Let's meet again another day. Brother ZHU, meet again another day." Others saluted Emperor Knight. After Emperor Knight returned the salute, he followed the servant to leave the party. In the courtyard, Rise, dressed in green, was standing in the hall. At this time, the woman's figure was neither tall nor plump, and her clothes were more ordinary. There was nothing eye-catching about her, but she contained an extremely strong attraction, which would make people pay attention to her unconsciously. "You are back," Rahao said to Yidi, who stepped into the living room. "My lord, let us go to the secret cave to meet him." Rise's lips moved slightly, but no sound came out, but this sentence appeared clearly in Yidi's mind. "Do you know why this happened?" Yidi asked in a voice transmission. "I don't know the details, but it should be related to Xiangsha League. Xiangsha League robbed a lot of silver from Shanman Bank," Rise said in a deep voice. "Xiangsha League attacked Shanman, which should be the work of Shen Giayu, the deputy leader of Xiangsha League. This person's strength is in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. My lord called us back, and it seems that he wants to kill Shen Giayu," Yidi said. "Let's go back to the secret cave first, and see what arrangements the master has made," Rahao said. Yidi nodded. Then the two of them left the house, put on their bamboo hats, and headed for a secret cave under the Shan sect. In a dark secret cave under the Shan sect, Chen was sitting on a stone platform, cross-legged, circulating the energy in his body to improve his strength. Not long after, Yidi and Rahao appeared in the cave. "Meet the master." The two saluted Chen. "No need to be polite." Chen waved his hand. "This time, I asked you two to come here, mainly to deal with the Xiangsha League. To be precise, it's to deal with Shen Giayu of the Xiangsha League." Chen said, "Master, I think I can deal with Shen Giayu alone." Yidi said. This is his absolute confidence in himself. "I just read the information about Shen Giayu. Once he is discovered, he will probably hide. It will be difficult to find him at that time. A warrior with 9 difficulties in heaven and man is very dangerous in the dark." Chen said. "I understand. Then we will set off to Longbei County," said the man standing aside. "Hide your identities, and then take action," Chen said, after thinking for a while. Chapter 343, Change of Mentality, Kill Gods and Buddhas. Emperor Knight, and, in the future, are among the pavilion masters that Chen arranged for Golden Wind and Rain Tower. If they were to go and kill Shen Giayu now, and reveal their true identities, it would be difficult for him to arrange for the two to appear in the capital as Xianaya Pavilion later. Emperor Knight, and, in the future, bowed and accepted the order, and left the secret cave. It seems that the control of the 9 northern counties needs to be accelerated. After killing Shen Giayu this time, Shanman should become the overlord of the 9 northern counties. Chen murmured. Mirren King Chen was killed, which was the beginning of the storm in the capital. There will definitely be a bigger storm after the beginning, so it is time for Shanman to become the overlord of the 9 northern counties. As long as he controls the 9 northern counties, his status will change. I believe that in the eyes of the major forces, Chen will not be just a disciple of King Langhu, 6 Dragons Demon Knife Dingpeng. It's just that the strength is improving a little slowly. Chen sighed. Although his strength has entered the heavenly realm, he still has a long way to go to become a giant like Shanren Jiunan. Become the overlord of the 9 northern counties. I believe that more things will be collected and entered into the mountain and river gate. At that time, he should be able to thoroughly enhance his strength. As long as he draws strong people, there are many strong people, he will not be afraid of anyone. There are many strong people, and then, he will kill gods and Buddhas, and he does not need to be so cautious. At this time, Su Chen's mentality has changed greatly. The whole person is full of publicity and domineering. Longboi County Xiangxia League, Deputy Alliance Leader Leng Xianqi is sitting on the main seat, and under his gaze, there is a person standing. This person is thin, wearing a brown gown, but the exposed palm is as slender as an eagle's claw, which shows that this person has a great skill. Deputy Alliance Leader, the money house of the Mountain and River Gate outside Lingnan County. We successfully robbed the total money house of 6 counties, and obtained nearly 30 million taels of silver. The man in the brown gown said. Good. Leng Xianqi, who was sitting on the main seat, heard the news. His eyes were full of light, and he stood up suddenly, and said 3 good words in a row. 30 million taels of silver is not much for the Xiangxia Alliance, but it is not cheap. This world is a world of warriors, but money is needed to obtain resources. I didn't expect that the Shanman's bank has so much silver. We will continue to make moves, and make sure to rob all the Shanman's banks outside Lingnan County. Leng Xianqi said. The Shanman's banks outside the 9 northern counties are actually based on the banks built by the Jinqian gang, but most of the silver in them belongs to Shanman. It can be said that the Shanman bank suffered heavy losses. And once this news spreads, the Shanman Bank will be run overnight. It can be said that the Shanman Bank outside Lingnan County will go bankrupt at any time. I have already made arrangements here, but we have made moves during this period. Shanman has already had defenses, so I'm afraid we won't get much silver. Also, should we spread the news that the Shanman Bank was robbed? Said the brown-shirted man. Not for the time being. If our Xiangxia League occupies the 9 northern counties, these banks can still be used. You will get the cash and transport it all to the Xiangxia League headquarters. Leng Xianqi shook his head and ordered. The Shanman's bank can be destroyed overnight, but it is a bit difficult to rebuild it. So let Shanman transfer silver from outside to banks in various places, to maintain the operation of other banks. In this way, after Xiangxia League takes control of the 9 northern counties, it can take over these banks. At that time, we can continue to use these banks to cooperate with the Jinqian gang. The cash of the Shanman Bank of the deputy sect leader, plus the cash on our side, is about 40 million taels. Should it be transported back at once or in batches? Said the man in the brown shirt. There is too much cash. If it is transported all at once, something may go wrong. Transported in 3 batches from different places. Leng Xianqi said, after thinking for a moment. Yes. The man bowed and left the hall. After the man left, Leng Xianqi turned around and headed for the back hall. He entered the back hall and came to a rockery. He opened the mechanism and a dark passage appeared in front of him. Leng Xianqi entered it and walked for an unknown period of time before pushing open a stone door. This is a small courtyard. In the middle of the courtyard, there is a pavilion. In the pavilion, sat a man with a tall figure, elegant appearance, and bright eyes. There was a sense of elegance between the man's eyebrows. It was obvious that he was a person who often read books, otherwise he would not have such an elegant temperament. Of course, you can't assume that the other person is a scholar, just because he looks like a scholar. This person is Shen Giyu, the 3rd deputy leader of Xiangxia League. It is rumored that he is stronger than Leng Xianqi. Second brother, how is the matter going? Seeing Leng Xianqi appear, Shen Giyu, who was sitting, waved his hand to let Leng Xianqi sit down, and warmed a pot of wine for him. We have obtained 30 million in cash, plus the silver we obtained before, which is almost 40 million taels of silver. I have asked Tong to transport it back to Xiangxia League in 3 batches by different routes. Leng Xianqi said. 30 million in cash is less than I expected. Shen Giyu frowned slightly, but did not continue the topic. The money issue is a small matter. Next, we will face Shanman, or the Qinglang Society. Although the Qinglang Society S6 Dragon Demon Knife Ding Peng was injured, and it is estimated that it will be difficult to recover, the Qinglang Society S5 Dragon Leader Yan Nanshan is still in the 9 northern counties. Since the injury of Demon Knife Dingpeng, the Qinglang Society has seemed a little low-key. I can't find Yan Nanshan's whereabouts. But based on some analysis, Yan Nanshan should still be in Lingnan County. This time, the attack on Shanman Bank is actually to lure Yan Nanshan out. As long as Yan Nanshan shows up, it can be confirmed that Demon Knife Dingpeng is in Lingnan County. If nothing unexpected happens, he is recovering in Shanman. That's when we join forces with other people to encircle and suppress the Shanman in Lingnan County. At that time, we will kill Yan Nanshan and Dingpeng in one fell swoop and take over Shanman. In that case, our Xiangxia League will be able to become the overlord of the 9 counties in the world overnight. At that time, we can slowly eliminate the traces of Qinglang Temple. At this point, the scholarly elegance of Shen Giayu disappeared completely. There was a murderous look in his eyes. From Shen Giayu's words, it can be seen that this person's means are fierce. But no matter how he calculated, Su Chen was ready to fight directly this time. You have to be careful these days. If you find something wrong, flee immediately. Don't fight with the people of Qinglang Club head on. Shen Giayu restrained his breath and said, unless Yan Nanshan comes, otherwise, I can fight anyone. Leng Xianqi said. Leng Xianqi's strength is known to the outside world as the 6th level of heaven and man, but his real strength is the 8th level of heaven and man. I just told you to be careful. Besides, if Yan Nanshan really comes to you, you don't run away and wait to be killed. Shen Giayu poured a glass of wine for Leng Xianqi and said with a smile. Chapter 344, Xiangxia Alliance, the army presses into Lingnan County. Old Third, you are looking down on my strength. I don't have the talent you guys have, so you can't smear me like this. Leng Xianqi took a sip of wine and said in a muffled voice. Although he was a little upset that Shen Giayu asked him to escape without fighting, what he said was indeed reasonable. The Xiangxia Alliance has 1 leader and 3 deputy leaders. These 4 are sworn brothers. Leng Xianqi is the 2nd leader, but his strength is the weakest among them. The strength of the other 3 is in the 9th level of heaven and man. Only he relied on drugs to get to the 8th level of heaven and man. Otherwise he could only hover in the 6th level of heaven and man. It's not that his aptitude is poor, but when he was young, his meridians were injured. He didn't repair it at the time, and when he wanted to repair it later, he couldn't do it. 2nd brother, the 4 of us are like brothers. If it weren't for you, 2nd brother, I, Shen Giayu, would have been killed by someone with a knife. Shen Giayu said hurriedly. Okay, am I not so petty? By the way, 7th Prince, Grand Master, when will the master from the general manager arrive? Leng Xianqi asked afterwards. In the next 1 or 2 days. Shen Giayu said. In fact, we have already figured out the Qinglang Hu, but we haven't figured out the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower yet. Leng Xianqi said in a deep voice. Shen Giayu's face did not change when he heard Leng Xianqi's words. I investigated the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower and found that the team of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower came from the Xianse Hall, a small intelligence organization in Lingnan County. Later, they relied on their strength to take down the other 2 forces and expanded. The foundation is a bit shallow. Although there is the support of the Chaianaya Pavilion behind it, it will take a long time to develop. If we take over the 9 northern counties, we can control the other party. At that time, we may be able to cooperate. Shen Giayu said. But it is rumored that the North Pavilion master of the Chaianaya Pavilion, behind the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower, has some friendship with the Demon Sword Dingpeng. Leng Xianqi said. By then, Demon Blade Dingpeng will have died, so they will no longer have any friendship. The connection between the forces in the world is not based on friendship, but on interests. By cooperating with us, Chaianaya Pavilion, Golden Wind and Rain Tower, will be able to develop. Will they still be against us for the dead? Shen Giayu said softly. You are still clear-sighted. Leng Xianqi couldn't help but say so. When do you think Qinglang Society will respond? Leng Xianqi asked afterwards. I really don't know this, but if Qinglang Society, Yan Nanshan is in Lingnan County, there will be movement within 3 days. If there is no movement, then our Xiangxia League will start sending people into Lingnan County to occupy the territory of Shanman. Shen Giayu said in a deep voice. Understood. Leng Xianqi nodded. By the way, what should Xiangquanmen do? Then Leng Xianqi thought of something and spoke. The leader of the Xiangquan sect, Bei Dongsheng, is from the Bei family in the capital. Although he is a concubine's son, he is still a member of the Bei family. We can't offend the Bei family for a small Xiangquan sect. After we take charge of the 9 northern counties, we will give them a city, which can be regarded as giving them face. Shen Giayu said. The Bei family, aren't they the power of the 4th prince? The 4th prince is in a bad state now. Leng Xianqi couldn't help but say. The Bei family is the Bei family, and the 4th prince is the 4th prince. Although the 4th prince has some troubles recently, it does not affect the Bei family. These aristocratic families are not as good as us in terms of their ability to change their attitudes according to the situation. When Shen Giayu said this, a trace of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. By the way, I received a letter from Jin Yuting, the second leader of the Jinqian gang. He will send some bankers from the capital one after another. Once we take over the 9 northern counties, he can take over the previous banks. Shen Giayu said afterwards. Why doesn't Jin Yuting come to the 9 northern counties in person? Jin Yuting is a little timid. He will come after we have pacified the situation. Then he will say that he will help us introduce Lord into the capital. Shen Giayu said. Third brother, the situation in the capital is changing now. Isn't it the right time for us to participate in the Xiangxia League? Leng Xianqi said worriedly. Yes, but this is decided by the eldest brother himself. You are not unaware of the eldest brother's intention. The Xiangxia League will enter the capital. Shen Giayu said. The Great Zhao Dynasty. There are many forces in the martial arts world. If you want to be recognized by the world, there is only one way, that is, you can enter the capital. What is the capital? The core of the Great Zhao Dynasty. The place where the strongest gather. In the court of the Great Zhao Dynasty, those courtiers are not Confucian scholars, but strong men. Everyone who comes out can be said to be a master who shocks the world. You can enter the capital. It means that your force can be famous in the Great Zhao Dynasty. The Xiangxia League owns 1 or 2 places, and its reputation is loud, but it does not have much deterrence. Because the territory of the Great Zhao Dynasty is too large. With a large territory, there are many forces. Who would care about a local force? Indeed, if we take down the 9 northern counties this time, we should indeed take a step towards the capital. Leng Xianqi nodded when he heard this. The capital is the dream of martial arts masters. Of course, he was also thinking in his heart. The capital is the Great Zhao Dynasty, the core of martial artists, and may be able to get precious medicine that can help him restore his meridians. As long as his meridians can be restored, he may be able to go further and step into the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. The two continued to talk. 2 days passed in a flash. Within these 2 days, around the Bank of Shanmen, Xiangxia League, and Qinglan Club had a direct conflict. Qinglan Club killed many masters of Xiangxia League. It also robbed Xiangxia League of 2 batches of cash transported to the headquarters, more than 20 million taels, which made Xiangxia League furious. But he couldn't find the killer of Qinglan Club, so he could only continue to squeeze the bank outside Shanmen. The situation in the 9 northern counties has changed. As long as the Jianghu is in chaos, the people in the Jianghu will rise up and realize their own interests, so the 9 northern counties are in chaos again. However, on the 3rd day, the Xiangxia League began to suppress it strongly and ordered its forces to start compressing Lingnan County. Late at night, Xiangxia League. Leng Xianqi was looking at the piles of intelligence in front of him. He had been rubbing against the Qinglang Society for a while, but he didn't get any advantage. Shanmen seemed to realize that Xiangxia League had no intention of letting the bank go bankrupt. So Shanmen started to give a fixed amount of silver to the banks in various places every day. These silvers can only maintain the normal operation of the bank, so there is no money at all. So they just waste it. Lingnan County, are there people in Shanmen who are panicking? Leng Xianqi asked a man in black standing in front of him. No, it's a bit calm, which is surprising. The man in black frowned and said. They are still so calm, even though they know we are going to attack Lingnan County. It seems that they have something to rely on. However, no matter how much they rely on, the strength of the disciples of Shan sect is average. As long as our people enter Lingnan County, we can directly control the territory they control. Send an order to enter Lingnan County early tomorrow morning. Leng Xianqi said. Yes. The man in black bowed and said. Then he left the study. But when he left the study and walked out of the yard, he found that a man in black appeared in front of him. He wanted to take action, but he saw the other party stretched out his hand. His palm was white, which attracted his eyes. But when his eyes were attracted, a sound of a neck being twisted was heard. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345, Attack, Lead Out, Kill. Inside the study, Leng Xianqi's expression suddenly changed. He heard the snapping sound of a neck being twisted outside, because sometimes he would also twist people's necks. He was about to move, but a figure had already walked in, and an invisible energy directly locked onto his figure. Leng Xianqi's heart trembled, and he didn't dare to move. As long as he moved, the other party would immediately attack. Who are you? Why did you kill my Xiangshi League disciples? Leng Xianqi forced himself to calm down and asked in a deep voice. Do I need to tell you what Xiangshi League has done recently? A cold voice sounded in Leng Xianqi's ears. Kinglan Club, you are one of the dragon heads of Kinglan Club. Leng Xianqi was shocked. Yan Nanshanov, Kinglan Club, did not show up, but another dragon head came out. Xian Renjiunan, needless to say, must be one of the 7 dragon heads of Kinglan Club. Judging from the voice and figure, the other party is a woman. There are female dragon heads in Kinglan Club, but the person on the other side did not reply to him. He raised his palm and slapped the other person's chest. The palm was white and slender, like a crystal jade. Leng Xianqi did not expect the other party to start a fight. As soon as he said so, he was about to raise his hand, but a terrifying palm force surged out of the other party's palm. The palm force was overbearing and completely inversely proportional to the slender palm. Roar. Leng Xianqi roared, and all the ki in his body burst out and gathered in his palm. His palm became a knife and slashed out with one knife. The palm force formed a knife energy and fell down with a bang. He wanted to block the other party's palm, but the other party's palm force directly shattered his ki and swept towards him. Boom. At this time, Leng Xianqi kicked the ground with his foot. Bang. His body fell directly. There was a secret passage under his feet, which was why he dared to be here alone. His figure fell into the secret passage and went deep into it in a blink of an eye. The person who made the move flashed and appeared in the secret passage. Before jumping into the secret passage, a gleam of brilliance flashed in his eyes. It's a bit interesting. I didn't intend to kill you. The person who made the move murmured. He flashed out of the study and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the secret passage, Leng Xianqi was still in shock. If it wasn't for the secret passage that Shen Giayu had arranged for him, he would not have been able to dodge the palm strike just now. He would have been seriously injured if he didn't die. He moved quickly for a while, pushed open a stone slab, and then slapped out with a palm. A strong energy burst out, and the secret passage collapsed directly. Then he turned around, left the yard, and came to Shen Giayu's mansion. Sensing the movement outside, Shen Giayu appeared in the yard and saw Leng Xianqi, who looked a little embarrassed. Second brother, what happened? Shen Giayu said. The people from the Qinglang Society have taken action. The one who came is a female Shinran Jiunan strongman with overbearing palm power. If it weren't for the passage you prepared for me, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to block her palm. Leng Xianqi took a deep breath and said. Today's attack is really beyond my expectation. Shen Giayu said. Now in the 9 northern counties, the forces under the Xiangshi League are beginning to approach Lingnan County. They are preparing to attack Shanmen. He thought the other party was going to fight them at Shanmen. I didn't expect the other party to speak today. He is really able to hold his breath. Suddenly, his expression changed, and his eyes looked around. The other party actually chose to take action today, so would he use Leng Xianqi to find him? It seems that you are Shen Giayu from Xiangshi League. When he looked around, A cold voice sounded in their ears, and then a figure appeared in the courtyard. The figure appeared, and a woman's flower fragrance echoed in the courtyard. Fragrance. The other party left a fragrance on Leng Xianqi and used the fragrance to find him. I was a little careless. I thought I had found a secret passage. It was beyond the imagination of the other party, but I didn't expect that the other party didn't intend to deal with Leng Xianqi. Shen Giayu thought to himself. You are very cautious. You didn't contact those masters from the capital to avoid exposing your whereabouts. But your failure to contact them is also the reason why you died today. The figure spoke. This figure was Rihao. Rihao and Yidi arrived in Longbei County a day ago, but they didn't find Shen Giayu. If Leng Xianqi was attacked the day before, he might not come to Shen Giayu after escaping. But tomorrow is the day when Xiangxia Meng will attack Shanmen. If Leng Xianqi encounters an assassination, he will definitely come to Shen Giayu as soon as possible. Indeed, as she expected, Leng Xianqi came to Shen Giayu. Humph. Even if you find me, do you think you can deal with the two of us by yourself? When Shen Giayu was talking, a fire suddenly appeared in his hand, ready to call for help. But Rihao seemed to have noticed this a long time ago. When the other party's palm moved slightly, she had already moved. The powerful ki force directly extinguished the fire. Shen Giayu's eyes condensed when he saw this. A soft sword suddenly appeared in his hand. The soft sword appeared and stabbed out like a gust of wind, colliding with the air and making a harsh sound. The sword light is even harder to capture with the naked eye. His sword is fast, and Future's body movement is even faster. Shen Giayu's sword missed. The other palm slapped out, and a feminine ki force appeared in the palm, and the ki force was like silk, shooting towards Future. At this time, a fire slash also appeared in Leng Xianqi's palm. Now that Shen Giayu stopped the other party, he notified others to come, surround and kill the people from King Langhu. But when he took out the fire slash, a figure appeared in front of him. Sometimes, one too many actions will kill yourself. A low voice came from the other party's mouth. This. Leng Xianqi was shocked and wanted to move, but when the opponent's palm fell, his body seemed to be in a vortex and could not move. Boom. He burst out all his ki and tried to break free from this restraint. Let himself have a chance to dodge this palm, but his ki was crushed under this vortex. He could only watch the opponent's palm fall. Bang. His head exploded. Until his death, he didn't understand why the opponent's strength was so strong. Even if it was Shanren Jiunan, he should be able to fight a few moves. Instead of being unable to fight back and having his head smashed by a palm, he didn't even scream. Shen Giayu, who was attacking over there, sensed the situation here, turned his head, and saw Leng Xianqi whose head was smashed by a palm. Second brother. Shen Giayu shouted, and all the ki in his body burst out. He shook Future away with the palm, kicked the ground with his feet, and attacked Emperor of Night. The momentum was strong, but when he rushed out, his body suddenly turned, directly hit the surrounding walls, and fled away. Looking at the fleeing Shen Giayu, seeing this, Day in the Future, who was fighting with him, twitched a little. But when Shen Giayu turned, Yidi also pounced on him. Chapter 346. Once an order is issued, no one dares to disobey. Shen Giayu, Yidi, had read his information before. He was a very strong-minded person. Killing Leng Xianqi himself would never make him angry. So when Shen Giayu was angry and rushed towards him just now, he paid attention. Sure enough, the angry attack was a false appearance, and his purpose was to escape. Whoosh. At this moment, a firework shot from his body into the sky. At this moment, he called for others to come. You can't leave. Yidi's figure appeared behind him, as if the earth was shrunk into an inch, and he slapped out with a palm, and the palm force pressed towards Shen Giayu like a heavy mountain, which was to suppress Shen Giayu's figure. Kill. At this moment, Shen Giayu's figure paused, and the energy in his body surged into the long sword, and then he chopped back with a sword. The powerful sword energy slashed at the palm energy that was covering him. He wanted to cut off this palm energy. Bang. The two forces collided. Shen Giayu was shocked by the powerful energy and flew backwards. His feet rubbed on the ground for a long time before he stabilized his body. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. His heart was shocked. The other party's aura was also in the heavenly 9 difficulties, but his ki was extremely powerful, several times stronger than his own, and he was no match for him at all. You are a veteran heavenly 9 difficulties expert. Shen Giayu looked at Yi Di and said in horror. When he finished speaking, Yi Di had already made another move. He clenched his palm into a fist, and a ki like a raging sea surged out of his fist. Boom. The fist blasted out, and all the surrounding air was sucked into the fist, forming a powerful whirlpool of raging sea. It seemed that there was a war between heaven and earth at this moment. Yi Di did not intend to fight with the other party for fun. He wanted to kill the other party with one blow. Although Yi Di was also a heavenly 9 difficulties, the ki in his body was several times that of other heavenly 9 difficulties. What? Shen Giao's pupils shrank violently at this moment, and his mind was directly attracted by this punch, and he could not hear any sound in his ears. His consciousness gradually began to lose under this punch. He bit his tongue, and the intense pain brought him back to consciousness. He stood up and punched. When the fists collided, the air around him made a continuous sound, and the sound of bones breaking was also in the sound. Bang! Shen Giao's punching arm exploded, and blood spurted. A scream was heard, but Yi Di's fist pierced his chest while he screamed. Let's go. Then he said to Future, and turned to leave. Future followed him and left. Shen Giayu, whose chest was pierced, looked at his chest with confusion in his eyes. What did he want to say? But no sound came out. He fell directly to the ground. A gust of wind blew, making the place quiet. After a while, 2 figures appeared here. One of them was wearing a bronze mask, and the other was a weird young man wearing a red robe. They landed beside Shen Giayu, and the strange young man said, after taking a look at him, his pupils dilated, and he seemed to be shocked by the strength of the person who came, and he also seemed to be a little bit unbelieving and unwilling. And the other party's punch was violent, smashing Shen Giao's arm with one punch, and then piercing his chest. The person who came was very strong and very brutal. While speaking, he closed Shen Giao's eyes. The figure went in the direction of Leng Xianqi. He smashed his head with one palm, without any power to fight back. Died by the same person. The strange young man looked around. There should be 2 people who attacked, and their strength is at the level of heaven and man. The first one to attack should be another person, but the one who killed them was the last one to attack. Brother Zhang, the person who came is quite strong. The strange young man said. Yes, he is very strong. We are not too far from Shen Giayu. After Shen Giayu sent the message, we rushed here. It was a short time. Shen Giayu's strength is in the Shinran. Although he has just entered it not long ago, he is also a real Shinran. The other party killed him in such a short time. This person should be a veteran Shinran master. Only veteran Shinran masters can have such a strong ki and kill Shen Giayu with such violent power. After Shinran, it is impossible to step into that step. You can only temper and increase your ki. Therefore, the older the Shinran master, the stronger the ki in your body. Can overwhelm others with force. King Lan Club, it's not simple. You and I should retreat for the time being. The man wearing a bronze mask said. But us? Is my strength still restricted? If you want to stay, I won't stop you. The bronze man wearing a mask said and turned away. He didn't collect Shen Giayu's body on the ground. The strange young man looked at the 2 people on the ground. A gold ingot appeared in his hand and he threw it directly into the courtyard not far away. Send the body to Xiangshi League, and the gold will be yours. If you don't, I will kill you. After saying that, the strange young man turned and left. At this time, on the roof of a house not far away, Rihao and Yi Di, who were dressed in black, looked at the 2 people leaving. Are you going to kill these 2 people? Rihao said. She hasn't made much of a move tonight. My lord, you asked us to hide our identities, probably because you don't want us to be exposed, so you spared their lives. But there should be quite a few old-fashioned Shinran strongmen they just mentioned, and I might be able to fight with them. Yi Di said. Killing Shen Giayu is not difficult at all. He didn't have much interest in it. This time, Shanman should be able to take charge of the 9 northern counties, and my lord should let you and me go to the capital. Bei Chaofei is already planning this. Bei Chaofu's strength has improved, and he has received Suheo's promise, so he has arranged for Nalan Rangan to start the establishment of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. It is said that the capital is where the strong men of the great Zhao dynasty gather. When Yi Di talked about the capital, a light flashed in his eyes. Future beside him seemed a little calm. In the previous life, she and Yi Di were both respected figures in the martial arts world. But she was a little curious. In the previous life, Yi Di was a quiet person who only wanted to protect himself. Why did he become belligerent when he came here? She used to be a masculine person who was responsible for the injustice in the world, but now she is calm. Notify Su Zioran and others to kill some high-level members of the Xiangxia League in the 9 northern counties. Leng Xianqi and Shen Giao are dead, but there are still some elders and hall masters in the Xiangxia League. These people must die. As long as they die, the Xiangxia League in the 9 northern counties will be in chaos. As for those forces outside Lingnan County that were conquered by the Xiangxia League, they will probably be terrified, restless, and panicked when they know the news of Leng Xianqi and Shen Giao's death. At that time, Yan Nanshan came forward and directly suppressed and conquered them. As for the Qinglang Temple, it is estimated that it will be shocked by the actions of the Night Emperor and others today, and continue to hide in the temple. By then, the Shan sect will unify the 9 northern counties. It should be possible to make it, so that once an order is issued, all parties dare not disobey. Chapter 347, 9 Northern Counties, Wulan Leader. Xiangxia League Leng Xianqi. The news of Shen Giao's death soon spread to the 9 northern counties, those Xiangxia League affiliated forces outside Lingnan County. Originally, they were waiting for the order to attack Lingnan County. But when they heard the news, they were panicked and their hearts were floating. Some people were ready to evacuate. But at this time, Yan Nanshan appeared and suppressed all the leaders of these forces with his powerful strength. He also made them swallow a kind of poisonous insect developed by the 5 Poison Boy. A poisonous insect that can kill people at any time. The 5 Poison Boy is a boy of Su Chen, the head of Shanman. That is to say, at this moment, Su Chen, the head of Shanman, controls the life and death of these people. Shanman Su Chen looked at the letter in his hand and frowned slightly. This is a letter sent by the 4th Prince Liu Long. It means that he hopes he will go to the capital. At this time, let me go to the capital, the 4th Prince. What do you mean? But Mirren Fu should have arrived in the capital by now. Su Chen thought to himself. I will leave after the Princess Tan Yang dies. But the Golden Wind and Rain Tower should also move. After consuming the power of Qiukd from the Paradise Palace, Bei Chaofu entered the 5 difficulties of heaven and man. Future and Emperor Knight also went to the capital from Longbei County. As for the Mountain and River sect, he arranged the magic knife Dingpeng in the sect. It can be said that the Mountain and River sect can guarantee his safety. Of course, his own strength has reached the first difficulty of heaven and man. He also has some self-protection power. Master. At this time, Yuan Suan appeared outside the door. Come in. Su Chen nodded. After Yuan Suan came in, he said, Master, the 5 Poison Boys will bring the leaders of the major forces to see you. Bring them to see me? Su Chen was a little puzzled. He didn't understand why the 5 Poison Boys did this. Now the leaders of those forces are probably afraid to come to see him. This is what I want. My lord, you have already controlled the 9 northern counties, so you must officially announce it to the outside world. I want them to nominate you as the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties at the same time. Yuan Suan said. Hearing Yuan Suan's words, Su Chen's heart moved. The title of the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties is indeed useful to Su Chen. If he goes to the capital as the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties, I believe that, even if the strong people in the capital gather, they will not dare to look down on him. You will do this? Su Chen nodded. Then he seemed to think of something. Why didn't the Xiangxia League take action against the Xiangquan sect? The Xiangxia League almost took over the power of the 9 northern counties, but did not take action against the Xiangquan sect, and even gave a city to the Xiangquan sect. There must be something in between. My lord, the leader of the Xiangquan sect, Bei Dongsheng, is a concubine of the Bei family in the capital. Yuan Suan said. Is that so? You go to Xiangquan sect in person and give them two choices. One is to leave the 9 northern counties, the other is to declare submission to me. Su Chen said. Now there is a Qinglang temple in the 9 northern counties. He doesn't want another Xiangquan sect. Qinglang temple is just in seclusion now, not disappeared. He must completely control the 9 northern counties. In this way, he can deal with Qinglang temple with all his strength. Suppress Qinglang temple and make it leave the 9 northern counties and become the real Jianghu overlord who can decide life and death in the 9 northern counties. Subordinates, I will go to Xiangquan sect now. Yuan Suan said. You ask Wu Du Tongzi to release the leaders of the major forces, agree on a time, and come to congratulate me on becoming the leader of the martial arts world at the same time. Su Chen ordered. Subordinates understand. Yuan Suan bowed and left the room. After Yuan Suan left, Su Chen felt a little excited. Everyone has a dream of entering the martial arts world. Entering the martial arts world is to become the overlord of martial arts. He, Su Chen, is about to become the leader of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties. How can he not be excited? He looked up and looked out the window. Once Princess Tanyang dies, the capital will surely be in a bigger storm. At that time, it will also be the time for me, Su Chen, to set foot on the road to the capital. Su Chen murmured. Another place. Jinfeng Xiao Tower. I have successfully entered the 5 difficulties of heaven and man. I will go to the capital in a few days. You will go with me then. Bei Chaofei said to Nalan Rangan. I will go to the capital with you. As for Lingnan County, Nalan Rangan said. I'm going to advise the young master that there is only one Jinfeng Xiao Tower in the capital, and no branch buildings will be set up in other places. Only people will be left to investigate in the dark. In this way, all the information can be concentrated. Bei Chaofei said. Hearing Bei Chaofei's words, Nalan Rangan's expression changed slightly. There is only one Jinfeng Xiao Tower in the capital. That means Bei Chaofei will be the only owner of Jinfeng Xiao Tower. But the young master is the headmaster of the Shan sect. He shouldn't leave Lingnan County. Nalan Rangan said. How can Lingnan County and the 9 northern counties be the stage for the young master to perform? Bei Chaofei said. But, I'm afraid that the young master will be suspicious of you. Nalan Rangan showed a worried look on her face. Don't worry about this. The young master won't be suspicious of me. Bei Chaofei said. In fact, I'm also afraid that you have ambitions and will not be controlled by the young master at that time. Nalan Rangan then said. You don't have to worry about this at all. I won't betray the young master. What's more, the young master has a power that you can't imagine behind him. He can decide my life or death with just one word. Bei Chaofei didn't continue. He has been mythicizing Su Chen, making Nalan Rangan fear and dread Su Chen in her heart. He will not betray Su Chen, but people like Nalan Rangan may not be. Ambition and betrayal can arise on a certain basis. He wants her not to dare to rebel. Then I'm relieved. Nalan Rangan said. At this time, a disciple from the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower came in from outside. Master, this is the news we just got. The disciple handed the information to Bei Chaofei. Bei Chaofei just glanced at it and handed it to Nalan Rangan. Nalan Rangan glanced at it and was stunned. Then she waved her hand to let the disciple leave. The young master will ascend to the position of the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties in 10 days. Nalan Rangan said with some uncertainty in her tone. Senior Yan Nanshan suppressed those forces, and the 5 poison boys controlled those forces. It is normal for the young master to become the martial arts leader of Lingnan County. Our mission here is to pay attention to Qinglang Temple. I will go to see the young master as soon as possible and tell him my plan. Bei Chaofei said. At this time, Master, Commander Helion is here. A disciple came up to report. Helion Zioao, what is he doing here now? Bei Chaofei and Nalan Rangan frowned at the same time. Let him in. Bei Chaofei said. They are going to the capital to build the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. This Helion Zioao has some status in the capital. He is still useful. Chapter 348. Target, Overlord of the World. After a while, Hellion Zioao entered the room and went straight to the point without any polite words. Master Bei, do you know that Chen from Shanman is going to become the leader of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties? I know. Bei Chaofei nodded. You, Jin Fengxi Lao, should recognize his status in the 9 northern counties. Hellion Zioao asked. Yes, Jin Fengxi Lao is preparing to withdraw from Lingnan County. I will go to the capital in a few days. Bei Chaofei said. What? Hellion Zioao's expression changed suddenly when he heard Bei Chaofei's words. He didn't expect to hear this news. You, Jin Fengxi Lao, are willing to give up the 9 northern counties. Bei Chaofei went to the capital. Isn't this giving up the 9 northern counties? This is the decision of the upper level of Xian'ai Pavilion. We don't want to have a head-on conflict with King Langhu. Bei Chaofei said. At this time, Bei Chaofei pushed this decision to the upper level of Xian'ai Pavilion. Is that so? Then it seems that I have to go back to the capital with you. Hellion Zioao came here this time mainly to let Golden Wind and Rain Tower prevent Chen from becoming the leader of the 9 northern counties. But from Bei Chaofei's side, it can be seen that they have already made a decision. Brother Bei, the capital is not like the 9 northern counties. I'm afraid you will have trouble moving in the capital. Hellion Zioao said. It doesn't matter. The 2 pavilion masters of our Xian'ai Pavilion, North Pavilion are about to arrive in the capital. Bei Chaofei said. He was revealing this news to Hellion Zioao. Through the information passed back by Hellion Zioao, see the reaction of the capital. 2 pavilion masters of the North Pavilion. Hellion Zioao had heard of the North Pavilion master before, but had never heard that Xian'ai Pavilion, North Pavilion had 2 pavilion masters. My North Pavilion has a principal and deputy pavilion master. The principal pavilion master is named Yi, and the deputy pavilion master is Future, Bei Chaofei said. It's time to reveal the identities of the 2. Emperor Knight. In the future, hearing Bei Chaofei's words, Hellion Zioao couldn't help but repeat it in his mouth, recalling whether there was such a strong man in his mind, but there was none. The situation is changing, and it seems that some strong men can't stand the loneliness. Hellion Zioao sighed in his heart. Brother Bei, when are you leaving? Let me know when the time comes. Hellion Zioao said maybe before Chen becomes the leader of the martial arts world. Bei Chaofei said. Okay, then I will go back and prepare first, and help you investigate the situation in the capital. Hellion Zioao said. Bei Chaofei said such words in front of him. In fact, it also meant to let him help explore the way. Everyone is a smart person. Okay, let you know when the time comes. Bei Chaofei said. Hellion Zioao came and left in a hurry. I'm going to see the young master here. Bei Chaofei said, after sending Hellion Zioao away. Okay. Nalan Rangan nodded. Outside the Golden Wind and Rain Tower, after Hellion Zioao left, he did not return to the commander's mansion of the Northern Pacification Division. Instead, he went to Wen Yifan's residence. Wen Yifan became the governor of the 9 northern counties, but he did not leave Lingnan County. He knew that Lingnan County was the focus of the changes in the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. In the courtyard, in the hall, Wen Yifan's face was solemn. Chen, the head of the Shanman, will become the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties in 10 days. When Yan Nanshan previously suppressed the forces controlled by the Xiangsha League, he knew that the Qinglan Club had become the overlord of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. But he thought that the other party would stay in the dark, but now it has become public. This is a great threat to him. My lord, the young Marquis Hellion is coming from the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower. An old man who looked like a butler walked into the hall and reported. Let him in. Wen Yifan said. After a while, Hellion Zioao had arrived in the living room. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower is planning to let the Green Dragon Society control the 9 northern counties. Chen is the young leader of the Green Dragon Society. He actually represents the Green Dragon Society. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower is planning to withdraw from the 9 northern counties. This is a decision made by the upper management of the Xian'ai Pavilion behind the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. Xian'ai Pavilion should have contacted the Green Dragon Society, and they have made concessions. Hellions Iroyao said. Withdraw from the 9 northern counties. Where are they going? Hearing this, Wen Yifan frowned slightly. In the capital, the 2 pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of Xian'an Pavilion, Yidi and Rihao, are about to arrive in the capital, and Bei Chaofei will also go to the capital in a few days. Hellions Iroyao said. They want to use you to explore the attitude of the capital. Wen Yifan said. They gave up the 9 northern counties and still want to enter the capital? We must not let them enter the capital, otherwise, no one in the 9 northern counties can restrain the Qinglang Society, and I, the governor of the 9 northern counties, will probably have a hard time. Wen Yifan said. But we may not be able to stop them. Dare to go to the capital. This, Emperor Yi, and, future, are probably not ordinary Shinran Jiunan warriors. Hellions Iroyao said. Yes, but how can the capital be simple? I'm writing a letter to the 3rd prince, and you're writing a letter to your father. Wen Yifan said. Sunset. In a secret cave at the foot of Shanman Mountain. Bei Chaofei, wrapped in a black robe, appeared here. He sat cross-legged to consolidate his cultivation. After a while, a figure walked in. Congratulations, my lord, for becoming the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. Bei Chaofei immediately stood up and congratulated. The 9 northern counties are just ordinary places in the Great Zhao dynasty. When are you going to the capital? Su Chen said. Before the lord becomes the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties, I have a proposal for you to read. While speaking, Bei Chaofei took out the plan he had told Nailin Rangan from his bosom. Su Chen looked at the plan handed over by Bei Chaofei. He read it. Then his eyes lit up. Bei Chaofei suggested that the Golden Wind and Rain Tower and other forces be subordinate forces and jointly belong to the Xian'an Pavilion. The Golden Wind and Rain Tower will only be established in one place, which is in the capital. The capital is the place where the power and strong people of the Great Zhao dynasty gather. Information must be the most concentrated area. As for other forces, they are the forces established by other people he summoned. For example, the Invincible Gate, established by Dugu Wudi outside the Great Wall, and Xiang Angshan, who is currently establishing a force. Some of the people he summoned are already overlords who lead a certain area. They are unwilling to be under others. With the ability of overlords, they can become the leaders of a certain force. Some people who are not interested in this can join the Qinglang Club or enter the Xian'an Pavilion. Just follow this method. Su Chen said. The world is huge, and Su Chen will not restrict their development. The strong must have their own survival rules. Changing their way of survival is to restrict their development. Once his method is rolled out, then by then, the world will be full of his influence. He, Su Chen, is the overlord of the world. Chapter 349. The 4th prince moves. Mirengfu plans. Great Zhao, the capital. The warm sun is just beginning to appear, and a few buds appear on the branches, indicating that the day of revival is coming. In the mansion of the 4th prince, Liu Long, dressed in brocade, is standing in a pavilion. His eyes are looking at the clear water in the pool in front of him. Are you saying that Su Chen of the Mountain River sect will become the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties? The 4th prince Liu Long was surprised by this news, and there was a hint of doubt in his tone. Su Chen is just a disciple of the head of the Mountain River sect and the magic knife Ding Peng of the Qinglang Society. How could such a person be selected by the Qinglang Society as the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties? Puppet. Liu Long couldn't help thinking so in his heart. From all aspects, this matter seems a little incredible. I'm afraid that people in the martial arts world of the Great Zhao will have such doubts, and will have the same idea as him when they get this news. It's confirmed. The person who attacked him said. In that case, Su Chen may not be able to come to the capital. The 4th prince Liu Long frowned. Regardless of whether Su Chen is a puppet supported by the Qinglang Society, he is nominally the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. He has a certain amount of power. So, as he asked Su Chen to come to the capital before, I'm afraid Su Chen will not come. Your Highness, there is also the withdrawal of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower from the 9 northern counties, and the owner of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in Lingnan County, Bei Chaofei, will come to the capital. It is said that Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower will be established in the capital. It is rumored that the two masters of the North Pavilion of Cheyenne Pavilion, Yidi, and Rihao are on their way to the capital. The person who took action continued, not everyone can come to the capital. This matter has little impact on us. Is there any progress in the matter I asked you to investigate? The fourth Prince Liu Long said. I have found out that the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people is in the capital, but the specific location is still being confirmed. Give me some more time and I will definitely find them. The person below replied. Still in the capital? They killed someone and stayed in the capital, so my previous guess was right. They came for me. You didn't attack me for such a long time. Don't you want to attack me in the capital? It seems that I have to go out of the city. The fourth Prince Liu Long said. Your Highness, you must not do that. Hearing this, the man below him immediately persuaded. This prince is a little impatient, and we can't wait any longer. King Chen is a princess of the royal family of the Great Zhao dynasty. She was assassinated in the capital. Although the case has been closed on the surface, it is not in fact. Once the other party attacks again, it will form a fermentation, and I'm afraid that it will cause many forces to doubt the power of the royal family, so it's time to act. Liu Long said in a deep voice. I will go and make arrangements here. The person who attacked bowed and left the pavilion. I hope that the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people can provide some useful information. Liu Long said in a deep voice in the pavilion. At this time, in an inn, Murungfu, dressed in a brocade robe, was looking at the window, his eyes looking at a huge house not far away. That house was the residence of the 7th prince. Princess Danliang was in that residence now. He was here, observing the time and pattern of Princess Danliang's travel, so as to find the time to attack her. Sir, do you want me to lure Princess Danliang out? Xiao Royan said beside him. Her eyes were red, bursting with fierce murderous intent. She wanted to rush into the 7th prince's residence and kill Princess Danliang at this moment. Killing people requires patience. Murungfu was not very anxious. This was the capital, and Mireng Qingchen's murder just now could be said to have aroused the vigilance of many people. He had not found a suitable opportunity to attack. If he killed someone by force, he might not be able to get away even after killing someone. This was not Murungfu's choice. What's more, he had to frame someone else for killing Princess Danliang. It would take time to lay out. Go out on time. Seeing Princess Danliang coming out of the 7th prince's residence, Murungfu closed the window, walked into the room. Inside the house, on the table, there are information about 3 people. The first one, Yang Xiao, is a warrior in the mansion of the 7th prince. He is good at boxing and practices the Golden Light Buddha Fist of the Tantric Buddhist Academy. Below this information, there are vivid pictures of fighting with people. The second one, Yuan Mu, is a warrior in the Taishi mansion. He practices the Tai 5-element Palm and Qiu Shu Yi Ren swordsmanship of the Shenai sect, a major sect outside the capital. Below are also pictures of fighting with people. The third one, Yu Zun, is one of the 3 spokespersons of the eunuch general manager Ling Cheng outside the palace. He has a mottled martial arts, a famous technique, the 3-hate fist, and the 8 directions hidden knife technique. The 9 Heavens Heart Sutra. There are also some pictures below. These 3 people are the ones chosen by Murungfu. He plans to kill the princess of Danliang with the technique of one of these 3 people. The 7th prince, Ling Cheng, and the Taishi. These 3 people have a grudge against them. Let these people compete with each other, and suspicion is a good way. Of course, what Murungfu wanted to imitate the most was the assassin's method of Huangquan Bugiran who assassinated Mireng Qingchen. In this way, the capital would become chaotic, and perhaps Huangquan Bugiran could be brought out. He had already sent this request to Bei Chaofei, and he believed that Bei Chaofei would soon be able to find some scenes of Huangquan Bugiran killing people. You have worked hard in the past 2 days. Recoup your energy, it won't take too long. The young master is about to become the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties. I will kill the Danliang princess and send a gift to the young master before the young master officially becomes the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties. Murungfu said. Xiao Royan's face showed joy when she heard Murungfu's words. She had always been worried that Murungfu would take too long to act, but now the time is certain, she can wait. I want to return to the Danliang princess so that I can always grasp the whereabouts of the Danliang princess and make it convenient for you to act. Xiao Royan said. No need. During this period of time, I will personally observe her whereabouts in the next few days. Murungfu said. By the way, when you have time, go to the Yahoo and rent a small house. The house should be close to here and quieter. It's still a little inconvenient for us to take action. Murungfu ordered. Yes, sir. Xiao Royan put on her bamboo hat and bowed to leave the room. After Xiao Royan left, Murungfu took another look at the picture of the three people fighting. Suddenly, the scene of the fight on the picture appeared in his mind, and his hands waved unconsciously. The action was exactly the same as the action on the picture. As long as Murungfu saw it, he could use the martial arts of returning the favor the way you have done to him to perform the opponent's moves. It was really powerful. Another place. Xiangqun sect. Bei Dongsheng and Bei Jizhen, the leaders of Xiangqun sect, were standing in the hall. Jizhen, why do you think you and Suan came to my Xiangqun sect? Bei Dongsheng said. I really can't guess this, but it should be related to Su Chen becoming the leader of the martial arts world. Bei Jizhen frowned slightly when he said this. If they were invited to attend the ceremony, they only needed to send an invitation. Then Yuan Suan, who followed Su Chen, would not have to come to Xiangqun sect in person. Chapter 350, The Time of Assassination. Father, Yuan Suan's intention this time may not be simple. Bei Jizhen said. You have had contact with Su Chen. What do you think of him? Bei Dongsheng said. The contact time was short, but he is very patient. He usually does not show his ability, but he is domineering. Bei Jizhen said. Is that so? According to your observation, what is the attitude of those people in the Qinglang society towards Su Chen? Will he be a puppet? Bei Dongsheng said the doubts in his heart. Puppet, then Su Chen is definitely not a puppet supported by the Qinglang society. Bei Jizhen immediately shook his head. Su Chen is domineering and has strong self-confidence. Such a person will never become a puppet. In this case, it seems that Xiangqun sect, have to make a decision. Bei Dongsheng frowned when he said this. Father, do you mean that you and Suan came here this time to give us a choice? Bei Jizhen said. Yes, there should be two choices. One is Xiangqun sect to stay, and the other is Xiangqun sect to leave. Bei Dongsheng said in a deep voice. Hearing Bei Dongsheng's words, Bei Jizhen pondered. From the current situation, there are indeed only these two choices. What is your choice? Bei Dongsheng said. If we stay, we will have to surrender to Su Chen, which is absolutely impossible. Even if we are willing, the Bei family will not be willing, so we can only choose to leave the northern 9 counties now. But it is not so easy to relocate a sect. We must first choose a good place to go. Bei Jizhen said. Don't worry about this. I contacted the Bei family some time ago. They asked me to relocate the Heaven Fist sect to a small hill outside the capital. That hill has been bought by the Bei family and given to us as the new address of the Heaven Fist sect. Bei Dongsheng said. Father, why did the Bei family spend so much money to let you return to the capital? Bei Jizhen asked. Maybe my strength is about to enter the Heavenly Man 9 difficulties, so the Bei family did this. The Bei family will definitely find ways to include a Heavenly Man 9 difficulties warrior into the Bei family. Father, are you going to break through to the Heavenly Man 9 difficulties? Bei Jizhen said. Within a month, I should be able to enter the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Bei Dongsheng said. While the two were talking, a disciple came to report that Yuan Suan of Shan sect had arrived. Let's go and meet Yuan Suan. Bei Dongsheng stepped out and went to greet Yuan Suan in person. Bei Jizhen followed behind, heading towards the hall. Master Bei, young Master Jizhen, this is the invitation for the headmaster to become the leader of the martial arts world. After entering the hall, Yuan Suan handed out an invitation. Thank you, Elder Yuan, but I'm afraid we can't personally congratulate Headmaster Su on becoming the martial arts overlord of the 9 northern counties. Hearing Bei Dongsheng's words, Yuan Suan's expression was stunned. He didn't quite understand what Bei Dongsheng said. We Xiangqun sect are preparing to leave the 9 northern counties and go to the capital. The new address of the capital is on a hill outside the city. If Elder Yuan and Headmaster Su go to the capital, you can come and talk to me, Beijizhen said. Hearing Beijizhen's words, Yuan Suan's expression recovered, and he thought to himself, Beidong Sheng and Beijizhen, father and son, are not simple. He came here to force Xiangqun sect to make a choice. Before he opened his mouth, the other party knew his plan. He was the first to talk about the relocation of Xiangqun sect. However, he was still a little surprised to hear that Xiangqun sect would move to the capital. Being able to take a small mountain around the capital shows that the power of the Bei family in the capital is very strong. Then the three of them talked. Yuan Suan did not stay in Xiangqun sect and returned to Shan sect. Capital. January 25th. Suitable. Travel, moving, groundbreaking, praying, burial, hanging plaques, and offering sacrifices. Unsuitable. Getting married, setting up beds, and making stoves. In front of the fourth prince's door, the fourth prince, dressed in brocade clothes, came out of the mansion and walked into the carriage parked in front of the door. The carriage started slowly. There was no one around to rely on. It was just a simple trip, passing through the crowd and heading towards the east gate. Outside the east gate, there is a royal cemetery where Mirren King Chen was buried. On the street, in an inn, one person was wearing a Yama mask and the other was carrying a spear on his back. The masked man was the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. The two of them stared at Liu Long's carriage. Liu Long finally left the city. Is this our chance? The masked man murmured. Let's go. He turned and left the inn. Another place. In a small courtyard, Murung Fu's palm was moving, as if he was performing some unique skills. At this time, the door of the courtyard was pushed open, and Xiao Royan stepped in. My lord, Princess Tanyang and the 7th prince are leaving for Xiaoxiang Temple in the West City today, Xiao Royan said. While Xiao Royan was talking, a map appeared in her hand. This map was the floor plan of Xiaoxiang Temple. According to past practice, Princess Tanyang and her friends will go directly to the meditation room in the back temple from the royal passage. The 7th prince will sit in meditation and communicate with Master Xianhu of Xiaoxiang Temple. Princess Tanyang will be arranged in the meditation room in the back temple, which is our chance to take action. Murung Fu finished his work and said to Xiao Royan, it's an opportunity. I'll take the map away. You wait for me in the small courtyard. My lord, I want to see Princess Tanyang die. Murung Fu pondered for a moment and finally nodded. Change your clothes and pretend to be my maid. Let's go to Xiaoxiang Temple now. Xiaoxiang Temple is one of the 3 most popular temples in the capital. Today is suitable for praying, so there are many people burning incense. Murung Fu, a handsome young man, brought Xiao Royan to the outside of the temple and followed the endless stream of people into the temple. From here, we can go to the back of the temple. Xiao Royan led Murung Fu towards the backyard. Xiaoxiang Temple in the back temple. It was very quiet, in a meditation room. Princess Tanyang was sitting in it. She didn't like the temple very much, but the 7th prince liked to worship Buddha. Or maybe she couldn't say she liked it, because the 7th prince came here for a purpose. He wanted to win over the monks in Xiaoxiang Temple to become his helpers. Xiao Royan is really a waste. She couldn't even kill the head of the Shan sect, and she let him become the leader of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties. I now doubt that the news she said about stabbing Su Chen is false. How dare the bitch lie to me? Princess Tanyang's face showed anger when she said this. She has been paying attention to the situation in the 9 northern counties. Yesterday, she received news that Su Chen was about to become the leader of the 9 northern counties. If Su Chen was injured and recovering from his injuries, how could he become the leader of the 9 northern counties? So she thought Xiao Royan had lied to her. Notify Xiao Royan here and let her return. After I come back, I will kill her with my own hands. Princess Tanyang's face showed a cruel murderous intent. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.